yeah, I do have a green screen. I don't think I'm there yet.
Is it software that's in that?
No, it's an actual felt green screen that you hang. So you have one color. And then you could use the software once you have the all green color behind you, and you could overlay images on it.
Ah, okay, that's
it's
how
literally a green. So what it is you have one color that nothing else in your set has, and so your software can lock onto that color. And they call it a green screen because usually people aren't wearing things green in a studio, and they're able to like project an image on that one green screen, and then since you don't match it, you come out like on top of the image.
Did not know that. I've always wondered kind of like...
It's an actual green screen.
Well, in your Zoom settings, you have like a green screen, right? But I never really...
It never works out that well, though.
No.
It's not a true green screen.
I have a screen right now that's pretty good. It's of the Oregon Mountains, and that seems to be all right. But I use it against like a tannish background, so maybe that's why. And there's nothing on the wall, so it's just a blank wall.
Nice.
But.
Hell yeah. So like I was saying, this is the Mark and Jeanette show. It's like episode 3. Dun, dun, dun.
Episode 3.
We made it number 3. Like I say, Jeanette, she's out getting her swerve on, meeting young men, making men out of them.
Good.
Go get them.
We
Tiger.
need some more men in this world.
So
we don't have a lot of men in this world right now.
Scotch.
Oh yeah.
It's a drink of men.
So what is that, Mark?
This is Belvenie. It's beautiful. This one. So there's 2 Belvenies. There's 3 of them actually. This one's the whiskey oak or double wood, I guess. Oh, yeah, it's double wood. I couldn't tell you the difference. It's matured in 2 distinct casks for 12 years, so they switch it. There's another one that comes from it matures in a rum cask, and that one's really good too. But I didn't have any of that, so we'll have this one. But this is a really good one. It's about $80 a bottle.
Nice.
This is one day in the future when we're grown up, we'll have a sponsorship by somebody like this. Brought to you by Belvenie.
Belvenie, if you're watching.
Because right now
sponsor this man.
Sponsorships coming up.
Yeah, well, cheers. We've been talking about drinking some scotch for a long time.
If you want to do cigars too, we got cigars.
Oh, we might we should.
Here's to our health, man.
Here's to our health and
our ladies.
Our ladies, some good conversations. Damn, that is smooth.
Isn't that good?
Damn.
It is good. I usually, when I drink liquor, I stick to a theme. Like I'll do scotch. If I have a tequila night, I'll do tequila. If I'm doing gin, I'll do gin. But I brought this Irish whiskey out. We'll try some here in a little while. RedBreast. Phenomenal. This girl turned me on to that for my birthday.
RedBreast.
Fantastic.
Single pot still Irish whiskey, aged 12 years.
Fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't really do a lot of mixing. If I'm gonna drink a liquor, whether it's a spirit of any kind, I'm just gonna stick with it. Probably, I won't go from like a scotch to like a bourbon.
You know, it's being a wild night. A little this, a little that. But no, I'm with you. I try to step up my game, get some nice glasses, and I get these little round ice balls just because they look kind of cool. And
these are pretty legit. These are probably some of the biggest ice balls that I have ever seen.
To say, if you're
gonna carry the big balls, might as well do it big.
Go big. That's good though.
That shit is smooth.
Right?
So how long does one of these ice balls usually last you?
It'll last me like 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
2 hours. Yeah, it'll last a long time.
I mean, nothing is dense.
It's dense, yeah.
I've had experience with the smaller ice balls, but they are definitely not... They don't last very long.
Right.
Like maybe one drink.
No, these ones will last a couple of drinks, and it's cool. It's like it's a plastic box that has a silicone mold in there.
Yep, that's the ones that I have.
And then that whole thing goes into a styrofoam box on the outside.
Got it.
So it freezes it slowly, lets the particulates settle, because there's like that much water underneath the mold.
Yeah.
So it lets everything settle underneath there, and then you should get clear balls.
Yeah, I mean,
and these are pretty clear now that you get them wet, right? So yeah, they're pretty legit. But
I like these.
It's pretty cool, you know. And dude, everything's out there on the internet. They got like some cool stuff. They have these things where you put like They're made out of out of a copper or something that conducts heat, and you just put a big chunk of ice on there, and it just melts it down into the shape you want it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have some like really cool stuff, and it's all available on like Amazon.
So it's like you could start out with a block of ice, and then you're just gonna get something warm, and it's just gonna.
And it's not even warm; it's like room temperature, and it just sits on it, and it just melts the ice into a perfect shape. There's a mold on the inside, and that's what's left.
Yeah, it's kind of like a cookie.
Cookie cutter.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so they've got some cool stuff. I got this one because it was affordable. I was like, budget $20. You know what I mean? And now it's like, now I need to get a couple of them the way we go through these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is kind of our thing. So I'm usually the liquor drinker. Jeanette will, she had vodka last time. Sometimes she'll throw down the Trulies. Oh. She gets real.
Trulies are good. They're dangerous.
They're dangerously good.
After like 2, you get into that 3rd and the 4th, those get a little dangerous. Dude, you're hanging out by the pool.
Delicious. On the sun. You got some ladies around sharing the Trulies. Things get hot real fast. Gets turned up fast.
I mean, I don't drink Trulies a lot, but a couple times hanging out at the pool, and my buddy will be like, "Hey, you want another one? Yeah, I'll take one more." And then 3 deep, and you're like, "Oh, this is so good!" And you get up and you're a little bit buzzed trying to get home, and bad night,
dude. Good times. Yeah, Truly, you can't go wrong with Trulies, man. They're pretty legit. But yeah, for on the podcast, I generally do Scotch. It's just kind of my thing. And what's funny is when I realized I wanted to transition to liquor, I was drinking a lot of beer every night. Guinness. Oh, Guinness.
Yeah.
If it was a hot day outside, Corona.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's so easy, right? Hey, let's meet up at the brewery.
1, 2,
1, 2, 3, 4, and then next thing you know, like a month later, you're like, damn, look at me, dude. What have I been doing?
And like Guinness. I mean, love Guinness. Couple of those,
it's like eating a box of cereal, dude.
So I would drink Guinness all the time, and that's like when I was like 65, 70 pounds heavier. Yeah, I was legit heavier.
You've thinned out a lot, man. You look good.
I think my scales were wrong because I weighed myself today, and it told me today I was 214 at 11% body fat.
Damn.
And I was like, no.
Take it and run with it, dude.
I was like, these are love rails here? No, that's not accurate.
Dude.
But I felt good about it.
Yeah, if you feel good, though, that's what matters, right?
Going back to the drinking, when I knew I wanted to get healthier, the first thing I did is I stopped drinking Monday to Friday, beer. And even liquor, like liquor on the weekends, but like I would drink for lunch.
Oh, yeah.
I would put like Crown in my coffee.
Yeah. It's easy, though.
It's easy.
When you get into that cycle of, I'm just going to have a beer when I get home from work because I just want to relax, or I want to have a beer here, or you go out for a social hour and you're like, hey, here's a beer. 1 beer turns into 2, turns into 3, turns into 4, and then you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, what the fuck did I do to myself?
Yeah.
And I was in the same boat as you, man. I just got in that comfortable cycle.
You're in college, always hanging out with friends, always kicking back.
Now think about it. We're in our mid-30s.
40s.
Or 40. Hey, you can't get, shit doesn't come off as fast.
I'm healthier now than I've ever been.
Yeah, that's good.
But the transition started from beer to liquor.
Yeah.
And I started with Crown Royal because it seemed like an easy whiskey that was sweet that you could mix with anything else and you could adjust to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's where I went. I got into Crown Royal, and then I knew I wanted to drink Scotch. I was like, I am a man, and men may drink Scotch.
Men are supposed to drink Scotch.
Scotch. I don't know. For some reason, I equated it like, we're men and we're gonna drink Chivas. Mexican.
Regal. Yeah.
And it's supposed to be Chivas, right? But all the Mexicans here say Chivas, So yeah. So I knew I was gonna drink Scotch, and now here I am. I developed my palate for it, and I can tell the difference between like different scotches, the different years, the different malts, and it's just like anything else, like coffee. I can tell the different sources of coffees, the different roasts and all that. You can really develop that taste. And,
well, you got all that experience and exposure at Starbucks, so you have the variety. See, I don't think that I'm deep into being a connoisseur enough to and know what region a coffee bean came from.
Yeah.
I could definitely tell a light from a medium from a dark, but I don't think that I've developed the taste to determine what region it comes from.
Yeah.
But I think when you start to be able to do that, you have really hit that connoisseur status.
You know, and then for a portion of my life there, it kind of goes hand in hand, but I used to sell deli meats and cheeses.
Oh, boar's head
got
stuff,
to all the cheese, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of figured all that. I never got into the whole wine and cheese thing.
Yeah.
But I definitely developed a taste for the cheeses. And, I think more than anything, more than being a snob, it's about figuring out what you like.
Yeah.
For me,
trial and error.
Trial and error. And I'm not one to say oh, this coffee's the best, or this is the best, or this liquor's the best. Because, I think we all have different tastes. But for me, the coffee I always liked was a Cafe Verona at Starbucks.
Oh, okay.
Because, the coffee was like wine and pears.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that pear was chocolate. And the coffee was so smooth with chocolate. I love chocolate. You know what I mean?
And I think right now, what our local Starbucks has typically is the Pikes, and then they've got the blonde roast, and then they've typically got some variety of the dark.
Usually a French or a Sumatra.
And I usually steer away from their staples just because they're just so played out, right? Dude, it's switch it up a little bit.
In the old days, they would, because you have your light, your medium, and your darks, right?
Yep.
And they used to always, every week it would rotate. They'd have the breakfast blend in the morning, or sometimes they do the Guatemalan with the the Verona and a French or something. They'd always change it up.
Yeah.
And then many years ago, they came out with their just standard brew, which was called the Pike's Place.
Yeah.
Didn't care for it. It just, the way it hits your palate, it just seemed all over the place. It wasn't clean.
It's acidic. It's very acidic. And it's very, the bean to me, I think this has probably been something that a lot of other people describe too, but it burnt. It tastes like it's over burnt, over roasted.
It's just not a clean coffee.
Yeah.
It just really isn't. I don't mind that whole blonde roast. It's got a clean taste in the morning.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is the amount of caffeine in your coffee is dictated by how much you cook it.
Right.
So most people equate if I'm going to get a dark coffee, I'm going to
have more caffeine.
And on the contrary, it's been cooked the longest, like a French or Italian roast.
Yep.
They've been cooked the most, so they actually have the least amount of caffeine.
Right.
Which coffees like Italian and French are actually known as your dinner coffees.
Yeah.
Why? Because they have less caffeine. I mean, I don't know if somebody equated that a long time ago.
Yep.
Whereas your breakfast blends, even in your blonde roast, they're to cook the least amount, so they have the most amount of caffeine in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same idea, I think, with vegetables too, right? You cook vegetables, roast them too long, you roast the nutrients right out of them.
Right, exactly.
Kind of the same thing with beef, I think, to an extent.
The Donald Trump charred steak.
Oh, yeah. Gotta have that shit. Well done.
I like mine red.
Yeah.
Like that running.
I gotta have it red, man. Speaking of meat, I went back on the carnivore diet.
Did you? Tell me about it. I've got to know about this.
So when I first experimented with the carnivore diet, it was about 2019, and that was kind of the whole what month do they do? It's a national carnivore month. I don't know what month it is.
Yeah.
But I was like, all right, I'm going to try it for 30 days. I had found this guy, Sean Baker. He's the carnivore expert. And then I kind of found a few other guys, like this guy, Dr. Ken Berry, and just a few other people talking about carnivore. So I was like, 30 days, I'm going to do it for a month. Lost a lot of weight, man. I lost 20 pounds, and I felt really good.
Energy-wise, were you still there?
Energy was good. That was when Sky was at the gym.
Dude, Sky,
just hammering in. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, just her endurance.
Yeah.
And I was talking to her about it, and I was like, I feel that my endurance really was bad probably for the first about 10 days.
Really?
But after the 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, your body started to adapt to using fat as a fuel source rather than carbohydrates.
Right.
And
your body almost has to switch to I don't want to say a permanent state of ketosis, but in a sense it has to, because you need that fat for that fast energy.
Right. But the fat, is a long-lasting, a long-sustaining energy. So it does make sense when you're talking about endurance and like you're a little bit more even keel with the way that your body is burning fuel. You don't have these huge spikes in glucose and because of the carbohydrates, and then you crash after you use them. Felt really good, and then of course, just like everybody else who does diet experimentation, you fall off the train. So I started this again about 2.5 weeks ago.
I'm just dying over here. I'm sorry. I don't
die. Drink more scotch.
Sorry, I know. Sorry, it's all that haze that's been in the skies. But so did you fall off the bandwagon?
Fell off the bandwagon like everybody else, right? Just it was kind of drinking beer every night or drinking some type of booze every night, overeating, and I just looked in the mirror. I was like, dude, you gotta get back in check. And Tiff is like so disciplined all the time and kills it,
dude. Right?
With, like, her nutrition.
She seems like she's so on point.
I'm telling myself, man, you're being a shitty partner. You're fucking around.
Yeah.
And she's strict. Like, I gotta at least get on her level. So started carnivore again, dude. I've probably lost 8 pounds and quite a bit of body fat in a couple weeks.
Here's what surprises me. Like you're talking about Tiff, and then this gal Sky, that was just a phenomenal laugh.
Yeah.
And you know, a little context. Me and Matt, we're CrossFitters. You know, we go hard. You know, you like to do kipping pull-ups. What up? I'll own it. I'm down. I can do it, and I can rep them out and down.
Yeah.
Like 4 years later, but like here's the deal. The longer I'm in CrossFit, and I look around like the gym, and I watch like the games on TV. What is up with the women? Like, the women are so freaking on point. Their diet's on point. They throw down, like, you know, they excel. And the professional men, the athletes, they're phenomenal. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You go to, like, your normal box gyms, like, you know, our gym, the other gym down the street, in the next city and whatnot. The chicks in those box gyms
dominate.
They dominate. They're on point.
Yeah.
Guys like you and me, we think we're all that, but we're like here, and the chicks are here.
Well, I think they just have a mental edge over men, I feel like, just for the sheer mental toughness and discipline. I mean, anybody who can have a child, I feel like, is just mentally above any male.
Like,
but anyway, I started this shit again. I feel excellent. I feel like just that. You know, of course, this is not carnivore, but I think you just have to live a little in moderation. This is the lesser of the two evils, if you honestly. Yeah.
That's the way I viewed it when I made the transition from beer to, like, I'm going to go liquor just in the weekends, you know.
Yeah.
It's all good.
But I think that, you know, kind of segueing into being able to maintain a stricter diet, I think you have to build in things that you enjoy, right? Like, I enjoy having a scotch.
Yeah.
But I find that drinking a scotch like this is so much more satisfying than just drinking a beer. I mean, who doesn't want a cold beer on the beach, right?
You know, and it's kind of like, I think there's even the whole context, like the setting. You know, I chill with my brothers. They like to drink beer.
Yeah.
You know, throw back some cold ones and just chill. You know, I don't know. It's just I think it's just in the context of where you're going or what you're doing. You know, if I'm in a chill situation, like at the bar or at the dinner or something like that.
Well, you know? I think the whole idea, right, though, is don't limit yourself. I think that's where I failed, right, is that I was like, I'm going 100% carnivore. I'm not going to do anything but meat and water.
Yeah.
But, like, what is my end goal? I wasn't going to be a bodybuilder, right, but I wanted to lean out. But now I'm like, I want to be fit. I want to look jacked. I want to look good without my shirt off, or without a shirt off or shirt on, however. But I also don't want to give up, like, the finer things in life too. Like, if I can get lean, maintain, and still have a scotch from time to time, that's not going to kill me. But if I do go eat like a huge ice cream and drink a beer, I'm going to get some mouth pleasure out of that and feel like shit later. It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. I think you have to give in every now and then. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you got to.
You've got to. Like, you know, Thursdays are my day.
Okay.
Something about Thursday and it starts in the morning.
Yeah.
And I get my coffee. I get that chocolate chip cookie on Thursday.
You're
the big one.
savage.
Yeah, I start my day. You know what I mean? And it goes downhill from there. I just eat anything on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And the end of the night, and what's kind of been my thing on the end of the night Thursday is Jack in a Box. Double patty sourdough. The sourdough Jack.
Dude.
With no mayo. It's kind of my thing, no mayo, but with that, that they put bacon, tomato, and something about the bread. The sourdough bread on that burger just...
I think you're the only person
Dude.
that I've met who's a Jack in the Box guy.
Man. Well, I think every burger joint has its merits.
Right.
But, my Thursday night burger usually is Jack in the Box. Love Five Guys. I think Five Guys has got a bomb burger, double patty.
Yeah.
Oh,
Five
God.
Guys is good, but my beef with Five Guys is that when you get your shit, it's soggy by the time you get it.
You have to eat it quickly.
You gotta eat it. If you get it to go, forget it. Don't even bother.
That bottom bun is soaked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who I do like though is Freddy's. Freddy's is good.
I've never been to Freddy's.
You gotta check it out. I think it's the closest thing that we will ever get to in New Mexico to an In-N-Out.
Okay, I was gonna go there. So dude, I'm gonna piss people off. In-N-Out is not my go-to burger, even when I'm in that part of the country.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Out all night, party all night. 2 a.m, let's get a bite, In-N-Out burger.
Yeah.
Any other time, no.
No? What's your gonna be your go-to burger, chain-wise?
Shake Shack.
I don't think I've had a Shake Shack.
Shack.
Actually, I haven't had a Shake Shack burger. Does it count if it's in an airport? Is it the same?
Dude. It should be. Those are the shit. And then I was in Joshua Tree.
Okay.
And there was a place called Steak and Shake.
Steak and Shake.
Oh.
I've had a Steak and Shake.
The bun.
Those are good.
The bun. Something about that bun just completed the burger. It was amazing. Then they had a Nutella shake.
I think...
God bless it.
I guess I like really In-N-Out for a lot of reasons because it's very good, but I think also the way that it's very consistent. You know what you're getting, your quality is fresh, right? You're not going to get stuff that's like prepackaged lettuce.
Yeah.
You're not going to get pre-cut tomatoes. You're going to get pretty fresh beef, fresh buns, fresh fries.
I get it. There's a certain consistency. What you're going to get every time.
Yeah.
And that's part of the whole thing with Starbucks too. No matter where you go, you're going to get the same level of service, the same quality of coffee.
True.
And people look for that.
Yeah.
Or Cracker Barrel's the same thing for the truck drivers.
Oh yeah.
You're
Cracker Barrel,
get the
Denny's, IHOP.
Every time. And let's just be honest. Cracker Barrel breakfast.
Dude, Cracker Barrel breakfast is where it's at. I haven't eaten at Cracker Barrel for a long time. But I remember as a kid going to Cracker Barrel after church, man. And getting I don't even remember what it was called.
You get hotcakes, country fried steak. You get that apple dumpling thing, the oatmeal, everything, and 2,000 carbs in one meal.
Dude, and it comes out on 6 plates.
Oh, God, and a thick cut of ham. Oh.
And your whole family gets the same thing, right? It was me, my brother, my mom, and dad, and I just remember the whole the table was just full of plates of food.
It's a big and the cornbread, hot cornbread with a slab of butter
and you
on
could
it.
play checkers, or some board games,
dude.
Browse the country store for slingshots.
There's something about homemade Southern country food.
Yeah,
that's just love Mexican food, love just all these different kinds of foods. In here in New Mexico, you're talking to huevos rancheros and green chili and all that. But you know what though? Soul food, country fried breakfast.
Yeah, dude.
There's nothing that beats that.
I haven't ever really been to the South per se. I think probably Cracker Barrel is about as Southern as we're gonna get for food.
I had the pleasure once upon a time I was a butcher.
Oh, okay.
In this grocery store, and there was this nice lady that's from the South.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what exactly her job was there, but she always swung by and said hi. You know, I want to say she probably worked at the front end of the store, and she returned groceries back, you know, that people didn't take. And she always stopped by the meat market and would talk to me. She goes, you know, I'm going to make you some collard greens. I'm going to make you some hock. And oh, that's cool. You know, like, I'm like 19. I was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, cool, thank you. Yeah. You know, I was always very polite. I was a very polite kid. And one day she shows up with this plate. And it was exactly what she said.
Oh,
it
damn.
was collard greens. It was a hock. And it was like...
What is a hock?
Like the ham hock.
Oh, a ham hock.
Yeah,
all right.
And it just... She had... I don't remember all of what she had, but it was a pile of food. And it was amazing. And I was like, I've never had anything like this. And she was like, that's the way we ate. And that's, you know...
Damn. How are the collard greens? I've always wanted to try them, but I've never had collard greens.
Phenomenal.
Really?
I can't describe it to you. You know, I grew up eating a lot of spinach.
Okay.
I needed like a lot of iron in my diet.
Yeah.
And my mom always made spinach with lots of butter. And she always made me a hard-boiled egg with my spinach. I don't know why. It must be a Mexican thing. But something about the way she made that spinach, I tried making it the same way, and I can't do it, but...
Yeah.
It just reminded me of those collard greens for some reason. It was just like, oh.
They look like cooked down spinach, but I've never tasted them.
It was good.
And I've never really, you know, one of the things that I would like to experience, I would like some legit jambalaya.
I've heard legit jambalaya is good. I haven't tried it.
I haven't either. Apparently there's a place where you can buy your own broil kit here.
Really?
Take it home and make it up. Apparently they season it. It's up off of Missouri, but try that out.
This is uncharted waters. Jura, single malt Scotch whiskey, aged 10 years. If you're ready, man.
I got a little bit left, but I'll pour some as soon as
I've never tried this. I've been waiting for a moment to try this. Jura, if you're needing somebody to sponsor and talk about your goodness,
he's the man.
Right here on Mark and Jeanette live. No,
so is Mark and Jeanette? Is this gonna be this is the show?
This is the show.
And so I'm filling in for Jeanette today.
Yeah, well, you know the plan. So it's a work in progress. It's kind of like how we talked about, like you know, you just kind of do it, make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's you try to think about like, gosh, how do I do a podcast and all that? What do I need? And well, I figured the first thing you're gonna need is a mic. So I just went online and got me some mics. I've had these mics for a long time.
Yeah. And
then I was like, well, how do I connect it to a laptop? And I start, doing simple things. Got a soundboard, and there's new upgrades I want to do. I want to look at some more software. Look at a high def camera. Very specific things I want to do now. Now that I'm really thinking about it.
Yeah.
The hardest thing was just pulling the trigger.
Yeah. And then probably just actually getting your first recording underway.
Oh, it was easy. I have pre-recordings where I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like, check, and just seeing if I can get the mics working, all that.
Yeah.
So I have these videos like that, but I never posted them. But I was like, okay, I got that done. That's easy. But trying to find the right person that you wanted to do this with. Yeah. So Jeanette, she had worked for me. We became good friends, and we would go out with our buddy Dario. We'd have drinks, and we'd be up all night just having some drinks with Scotch. Jeanette's a beer drinker.
Okay.
She puts beer down.
Damn.
Like.
That's always impressive when the females can just.
I don't even touch that. Like, she puts that beer down.
Damn.
Yeah. And so after, I've known her for like 2 years, and we've had these like great conversations. I was like, I've always wanted to do a podcast. Would you be down? And she's like, yeah, I'm down. Like, she's like, what do I need? Nothing. I've got everything. Like the sound. No, actually getting my iPad was the last step, and figuring out how to connect the soundboard to the iPad.
Okay, gotcha.
That was the last part of it, and that wasn't too difficult to do once I've got that going. I think from here now, I just know what little tweaks I need to do moving on up now. Yeah,
and it probably really depends too, like if you're going to do video or if you're going to do sound. But what I find just the video, I don't always watch a podcast that has video, but when it's available, sometimes it's nice to just glance down and look at the people that are actually talking.
This is different.
In a good way, bad way?
I'm not sure. Like, because there was a little bit of a smokiness in the Belvenie. Not too much, but this is completely different. I guess I was drinking it expecting some smokiness. There's no smokiness in this at all. I think if I
no smokiness.
I think if I just drank this by myself, like if I just started drinking this one night, I think I'd go crazy off this.
White oak bourbon barrels.
A sweet sherry
Aged.
cask finish. A subtle smoky note with a sweet sherry
sherry butts. I don't know what that means.
That's curious. And I guess there's a map. Jura is an island off the island of Scotland. Or off of Scotland. Oh, that's good. It's different good. I haven't had a Scotch like this before. I can't get any smokiness off it, which is kind of nice.
Do you typically not like a smokiness?
No. I mean, I think you always get smokiness. It's kind of like one of those things. Like, unless you get something like what is it called, Lafroig, that has that's very peaty. Mm-hmm. And the only way I could describe the peatiness of it is like a kick in the balls.
See, and that's one of the fondnesses I have of mezcal is that the different levels of smokiness that you get from it. Mezcal is like one of those really unique drinks, right? Because there's so many different places that produce it, and it's different everywhere you go.
Mezcal, dude.
God, that's some good stuff.
Mexico.
But how many times? Well, how many times though have you not drank mezcal as being younger because you're like, if it's got the worm in it, I'm not drinking it.
Listen, so when I grew up, back in my days, the world was a different place. At my peak, I was going to Juarez four times a week.
Oh, okay.
So we live 45 minutes north of Juarez.
Yeah.
Thursdays.
Thirsty Thursdays.
Thirsty Thursday. $7 drink and drown.
$7 drink and drown. Flaming Dr. Peppers.
Flaming Dr. Peppers.
At the what the hell was that place called?
There was those places the sub.
There was the cave.
The cave.
Then there was
Exos.
the Tequila Derby.
Exos is next to the cave. Then there's Tequila Derby. The La Playa, the beach.
Was across the street.
Yes. And no, that was the same size as Kentucky Derby. Or across the street, going down on the same side.
Yeah.
Further down was the Manhattan. There was a Kentucky Club. There was a Copacabana.
So every Thursday, probably since I was about 17, 18, we would go down on Thursdays.
Yeah. And you could back then.
You could. You just had to make sure that you took $10 and at least 2 quarters.
To get back.
Quarter to get in and a quarter to get out.
Dude, okay.
And $5 to park, maybe.
Yeah. So, my memories of going to Juarez is going through all my money because we'd always find somewhere to eat afterwards, at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, whatever. They got to the point where they started closing everything down at 2, kind of like they do here in the States.
Like Taco Cabana.
Yeah, everything. That federales would come and they'd usher everything. They'd
there.
But initially, it'd be open all night.
Yeah.
So we'd party till 4 or 5 in the morning, and then you just go down the street and go eat. Get a burrito for 50 cents. They used to sell these taquitos on the street for 10 cents a piece.
Yeah.
Or we'd get these 50-cent footlongs. And it's funny. I gotta tell you that, these 50-cent footlongs. Amazing. They wrap them up in bacon. They put mayo in the bun and toppers, tomato, onions, everything. And we'd be sitting down the curb just chowing down these 50-cent hot dogs that were just the bomb. I don't go into too much detail about my personal life while I'm dating, but there's this girl I'm dating, and we were just she tells me one day, she goes, I want some hot dogs for lunch. I was like, okay, I'll go pick up some hot dogs. Go get some bacon. Dude!
She whipped them up.
And I just started laughing. I was like, this is just like Mexico. She goes, well, she's from Mexico. She goes, yeah, this is how they make them back home.
Yeah.
I was about to boil them, and she goes, what are you doing? You don't boil hot dogs.
No way, man. You crazy boiling hot dogs?
and working in a deli business.
Maybe if you're...
That's all you ever did was boil them.
Cooking at the fair.
Right. You boil it, right? But no, you wrap it in, and I have an Insta fryer, so you wrap it in bacon, throw it in there. Dude.
Yeah, I mean, you think about all the times you went down to Mexico into Juarez as a 17, 18-year-old, and you're going down there drinking until you can barely walk.
Riding on some chicks whose name you don't know.
drinking these shots of who knows what that they light on fire and call it a flaming Dr. Pepper.
My buddy Mike, I said, it's my buddy's birthday. Let's give him a birthday shot. They literally got that rubber mat that they pour drinks on. They got that mat and poured it into a glass. Wrecked him.
We'll probably add like 20 different. Oh man, I don't know.
Gross.
That is different.
It's different. It's like not a bad different. I just can't put my finger on it.
It's strong. I'm gonna have to let that cube melt a little bit. Yeah, it's an interesting place. I think
it's not smoky, is it?
People who didn't grow up and had the ability to experience Juarez or parts of Mexico, living this proximity of the border.
Puerto Peñasco is amazing.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, like 4-hour drive. Like, I remember the first time I took my buddies, the rugby guys. I took up some rugby guys to Puerto Peñasco. We rolled into town, and the first little building we see is a beer store.
Yeah.
Not like a liquor store, it's a beer store.
Yeah.
Cerveceria.
Okay.
And so we pull over, and the guys are like, oh yeah, we've got to get beer. Let's do this. So we go running in, and somebody had to wait there because I was in a little red Toyota truck.
Yeah.
Like 2 of us fit in the front. The other 2 guys had to lay in the back because we all couldn't fit. And we went in there, and there's like all these beers, and we're like, oh, disculpe, señor, cerveza, My Spanish was really horrible then.
Yeah.
And much less like the guys that what they couldn't speak. So, a friend, Murphy, God rest his soul, he says, look, I don't know what to get, And I tell that to the old man, I was like, pues no sabemos cuál escoger, And the old man says, está bien. He just starts opening up beers to sample them. We just start sampling them. We were like...
In the beer store.
Yeah, in the beer store. We start sampling them in the beer store. So we ended up buying the cheapest shit we could find. Which is like...
Tecate, maybe?
No, it's called Koster. Koster.
Oh, okay.
It was an 8-pack for $2.
Damn.
It tastes like crap. And we bought cases.
Oh, God.
Cases of this beer. And then we bought like gallons of tequila.
Oh,
plastic gallons. Like tequila in plastic jugs is not good.
No. Any booze I think that you're going to buy and it's plastic, you should just steer clear of it.
Yeah, just get rid of it.
Don't even buy it.
But it was like $1.50 for a gallon of tequila.
Oh. So then you're just like...
we're like poor ass college kids. We didn't have any... We had enough money for gas, maybe some money for food, maybe enough money to get back. That was it.
But enough money to drink and party.
Like, we didn't have hotels. We didn't have a room. We had nothing. So the guys were like... and I kept on reassuring them like I knew, no, it's going to be cool. We're just going to roll up to the Puerto Peñasco. We're going to show up. It's going to be all good. We had a tent. We had a futon mattress in the back of the pickup truck.
Oh, shit.
And so we pulled into the beer store, and the guys were like, where are we going to go? I was like, let's just go find the beach. Pulled up to the beach. That's where we stayed.
You can drive on the beach.
That was it. We paid like $2 to stay on the beach.
Yeah, Puerto Peñasco is like probably one of the best kept secrets, I think, of southern Mexico.
No, northwest.
Would it be northwest?
Northwest.
Well,
Rocky Point.
Yeah, Rocky Point.
Because you go from Tucson, you go south into Sonora and it's on the very south end of the Gulf of Mexico.
Yep.
Where the Baja Sur ends, it's like you could take a boat across. I mean,
it's like the Baja Peninsula starts, like right there at that mouth.
But on the inside, on the mainland.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like a 3-4 hour drive, and
I just remember driving there as a kid, and you're just driving down this road. There's nothing.
2-lane road.
Bunch of busted ass cars on each side of the road. It's desert.
You see
there's
wicked
nothing
accidents
for miles. But then you get to this like.
It's beautiful.
Beach land.
And it's cool.
Oh,
it's paradise.
Cool. I like all the parts of Mexico. Every part of Mexico I've been, I have really enjoyed.
I would recommend San Carlos.
San Carlos.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's a tourist town. It's right next to the big industrial port of Guaymas. Guaymas has a cool history because the townspeople, came together to fight off pirates.
Yeah.
And what good story does not involve pirates? You know what I mean?
There is not a good one, I don't think.
So there's like these people in Guaymas like 100 years ago, 150 years ago, they like fought off like these pirates that invaded Mexico through Guaymas, and they fought them off. But just like 15 minutes north of it, up the coast, is a place called San Carlos.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Guaymas, though, you can take a ferry from Guaymas over to the Baja Peninsula, I think to San Felipe, right?
Now Guaymas, it's like if it takes about 3 hours to get to Puerto Penasco from Tucson, it takes about 5 to 6 hours to get to San Carlos.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you could to the very you could take a ferry to the very southern tip of Baja Sur.
I know that there is a ferry because I've looked at this before to get down to Cabo San Lucas, but you can, if you leave from here, I think you can cross in like Mexicali. I think you can even go through Juarez and shoot down to the coast, and there's a town, and I believe it's Guaymas, where you can take the ferry to the Baja Peninsula and then drive down.
It's dude, it's beautiful. The water's clear.
Oh yeah.
Like there was not Airbnb back then when I went with this girl, but we found like a house, beautiful house that had like that very whitewashed, faddish look.
Yeah.
It's like $70-$80 a night.
Well, that's like one of my lifelong bucket list goals is to just kind of cruise down the beach in Baja.
I'm going to be making a trip to Nuevo Casa Grandes. My family's from Casa Grandes.
Okay.
So here in about August, I've never gone solo.
You're going to go solo?
I'm going to go solo.
Hey, that'd be fun though.
My uncle still has my grandmother's house out there.
Okay.
But I've looked up all the Airbnbs. There's even 3 CrossFit gyms down there.
Damn.
So it's about the same distance from here to Albuquerque.
This is San Carlos?
No, Casa Grandes.
Well, I'm just going to look this up for my own familiarity because we don't have a fancy giant TV screen.
Zero budget. No budget. We don't have nobody working behind the screens pulling up this fancy data for us to pop it like on an insert on the screen somewhere, like a map of Mexico.
So is it Casa Grandes is in Chihuahua?
Right.
Okay.
So that's like 3 hours south of us, about the same distance of Albuquerque. So it's funny with Casa Grandes because you have the old town of Casa Grandes, and then you have Nuevo Casa Grandes, the new Casa Grandes. So
got you.
It's kind of like the old town, like say Mesilla, and then like Las Cruces.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's kind of like what it's like, you know. So yeah, I think I'm going to be taking like a lone ride down there.
So it's a sweet little like kind of area, right? I mean, it's really, it's districted off. I mean, within Juarez, and I think when you realize
that's Juarez right there.
Big, you can see it's.
No, you're looking at Juarez. This map you're looking at. So that's Juarez right there.
And then you zoom in, it.
No, you're not looking at the right place.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at down here. So those of you that can't watch here with our lack of technology and lack of a computer expert. Oh, here it is, right here. We're looking at maps of Mexico. And it's funny, you look at a map of Mexico. It's
Nuevo Casas Grandes. Okay, gotcha.
You know, you look at a map of the United States and you see a spider web of roads.
Right.
Like you see roads, they're just here, there, just know.
There, it's not
there,
that way.
it's not like that at all. You know, you see the main roads that connect the big townships to each other.
Yeah.
But that's about it. You know.
So let's see. Where would you come in at?
From Juarez.
From Juarez,
yeah,
and then you would just cruise over.
I'll take a bus down there.
Oh, you won't drive your own vehicle.
No, you know, and I'm not trying to say, you know, that you could buy international insurance.
Yeah.
You know, you buy Seguro and it's like $80. Mm-hmm. You just pay a one-time fee and you take it and you're covered. There is violence in Mexico. I think it goes up and down. I think it's kind of bad right now. But one of the things is if the guys like your truck down there, they're gonna take it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I'm not even saying that taking the buses is the safest way, because there's been buses that have been pulled over by random
and people just pulled off.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's true with any place though. I mean, if you look at some of what's going on in Chicago, you've got these parts of Chicago, they're having 60 shootings in a weekend.
Yeah.
So
South
so
side
sometimes
Chicago,
to say, well, Mexico, there's a lot of violence there. Well, there's a lot of violence in a lot of other parts of the world too. We just choose where we're going to look and where we're not.
I think it's a sad thing going on in Central and South America.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so violence is violence, but it's definitely a different kind of violence. You look at the violence in the United States, and you see a lot of it gang related, people wanting to belong to somebody, wanting to belong to something, and there's this want to be part of something bigger. We do have the sins of our past, of our nation, that we have to deal with, unfortunately, and I think people really cling on to that too, and I think inner cities did become dilapidated, and the lack of opportunity. There's this generational poverty that people are born into, like in inner cities, where they grew up in the government housing projects. They have their children. They grew up in those government housing projects, and what sucks is we live in a great country. I still for all the failings of the United States, everything we've gone through, the riots, all this crazy stuff, the looting, the violence, it's still the best opportunity out there. And we as a country have the financial capability, even though with all this COVID money we've thrown out and these relief payments and all this bullshit, we still have the capability to be like, let's invest in the public educational system. Let's invest in our public, these large inner city schools, and let's give these people a fighting chance. Because the reality of it is, without giving people a good education, and whether they go into a higher education or whether they go into an advanced trade, without that knowledge, they don't have a chance, and the cycle repeats itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're seeing right now is just kind of some really bad effects of that cycle.
And rather than saying that I think people are, they cling on to slogans about, what they're a part of. But I think they do that because it's kind of like an outlet of their frustration.
Yeah.
I truly believe there's like a frustration there that, man, we're dropping billions of dollars a day, taking freedom to the rest of the world, and which we should, as the leader, the superpower and the leader of the world, we should. But we do have an obligation to our own constituency to really reinvest in the inner cities, in the schools, and the trade schools. That's something that I think gets overlooked, is like people saying, I have to get a 4-year degree in something that they're probably not interested, that may not take them in the direction they want to, when you can have a very fulfilling trade and make a lot of money, and it's in high demand.
Yep, and you have really good feelings about the trade that you're doing, right? You feel accomplished of completing whatever a project is, right? Whether you're doing some type of woodworking trade, carpentry, maybe electrical.
Every kind of infrastructure work our country needs is going to require tradesmen that are going to be paid really well and that know what they're doing.
Well, and I think the one thing that I always have some envy of, especially of people who are in trades where they're building stuff, the ability to look back and say, I was a part of that. I helped build that.
Yeah.
That's something that you can't get when you're just shuffling papers in an office,
you're right,
or you're just doing some type of administrative work, right? Behind the scenes work. You can't
absolutely
look and say, "Man, I'm proud of the work that I put in on that." Well, look how good that turned out, and that started from scratch.
I think that at some level you can, but it's not the same level of satisfaction.
Yeah, because I think the amount of energy put into it is a lot different, right?
Yeah. My dad, in California, he worked in construction. He was the general superintendent of this company, like in the 70s. And they did a lot of work on all the major interstates out there. Yeah. And he could talk about, he would just talk about all the major roadways and all the major waterways they worked on. He's like, man, we had a budget and we had to get it done in this much time, and we did it. And he always was very proud of it.
Yeah. Well, and then too, to see like we just built this new road. Now look at all these people that are using it. Look at all the people that it helped get from point A to point B more effectively or efficiently. Yeah, and I think that...
Imagine the guys that made the Golden Gate Bridge, that, you know, the pictures you see guys on top of those cables?
Yeah.
The cables are huge and they're walking on them. Imagine those guys like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I was like 500 feet in the air walking on a cable. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, and then who in the right mind is going to be thinking as a young person coming up like, man, what do I want to do with my life when I'm getting out of high school here? Oh, I'm going to go take this trade to where I can climb cables and build bridges. Like, I didn't think that way. That was not like kind of something that I thought about.
Like, there was a point in time where young men said, like, we're going to go to the city and go work on skyscrapers.
Yeah.
They knew they were going to do that.
Beams.
With that Rockefeller, what's that guy with a guy that has a picture of a bunch of guys eating lunch on an I-beam, like on a skyscraper.
It's a very famous photo. I don't know what it's called or what building is being worked on, but
something. His name was like Rock something.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still going on today. I mean, those photos kind of still probably exist in some form today.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, not in black and white, and maybe with a little more safety equipment.
I know, right?
But I mean, really, you know, you think probably a lot of those guys are generational, right? Their parents probably started that, and it just trickled down.
Oh, sure. You know, you learn metal work from your dad by doing some sort of garage work. You know, you're grinding metal, you're hanging metal, welding. You're making like a little go-kart.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You know what I mean?
You're just learning general skills, right?
And they're actually skills that are lifelong skills. So I think about this with the way I was raised in a tortilla shop, right?
Okay.
During the summertime, my dad would go deliver tortillas, and he was the adult. You know, that was his role. Yeah. My mother was there, and she'd run the front of the store. People walk in and buy product, and that's what they did to survive, to raise 5 kids. So the rest of us kids, which were aged, we were like, there was 5 of us. My sister's the oldest, and there were 4 boys, and there's probably a difference of like 7 years from one to the other. I was the youngest, and so when the oven would break down, we'd be, making tortillas. We wouldn't think anything of it. Moving parts, presses, going up and down, and it getting super hot. Moving parts, things that I'm sure there's governmental agencies that would frown upon it nowadays. So the ovens would break down. So here'd be like me and my brothers, and we'd be like, "How are we gonna fix this?"
Yeah.
The equipment's still very hot. We pull out hand grinders. I remember they're this big.
Yeah.
And being like a little kid, opening up the oven to cut the broken steel, grinding it. And then here comes my other brothers. They're like, okay, we're gonna wire this together. We're gonna close this down. We're gonna get these steel rings, hammer them shut, then weld them shut. Get this thing up and running in 10 minutes.
Yeah, because it's production, right? You can't halt production.
Stop. And you have a short window because you're regulating the temperature of the ovens, and you can't cool them off to work on it, so you're trying to work around the heat. And we didn't think anything of it. We're like, all right, we got to do this. Somebody's got to fix it. We either do it now or wait till Dad gets here. Then we have to throw the dough away, make more dough later, or we can figure it out ourselves and we can do it. And you don't think about this concept of like, these are advanced skills that men gain through experience.
Yeah. Ingenuity.
We were just a couple of kids that didn't want to wait at the shop all day so we could go to Baskin Robbins and spend our $5 that they gave us on ice cream. Right. We wanted to get the hell out of there. Yeah. And we did it. And we'd pull out these big old welders and big old grinders, and we made it work. And when you talk about generational knowledge, I think there was a lot of that's lost, where our parents used to have to do stuff by their hands, and now we live in a world where things are just mass produced. You can buy it at a reasonable price now.
Well, it's kind of the idea of tacit knowledge, right? You have generational knowledge that's tacit knowledge that is not transferable to you and I that easily, right? It's because you learn those skills over a long period through experience. And I think that is lost today, right? Because there's a lot of people who sit at home okay, can I learn how to change my oil by watching a YouTube video? Probably, yeah. But what if you never really have turned a wrench? Are you gonna know how to recognize a metric bolt versus a standard bolt?
Yeah.
Are you gonna learn
loosey, lefty, righty, tighty?
Yeah, like what are you gonna learn what it feels like to cross thread a bolt?
That's the worst part of the oil pan. Yeah,
and I think it goes back to we can't learn everything by looking at freaking YouTube videos, right? You actually have to go out.
You have to do it
and do it. Use your hand.
And you have to take that chance.
Yeah.
And you know what?
And you're going to fuck things up.
Fuck things up
a lot of times.
Right.
But how do you learn, right? And I feel like that's kind of what America is in a bigger sense, right?
Right.
We've fucked things up many times. We've fucked things up when it comes to the economy. We've fucked things up when it comes to social
you know what's funny?
norms.
It's the normal, hardworking American that has to fix things. They have to wake up in the morning, go back to work, put food on the table, and on so many different levels. When you say when the economy gets jacked up and everything, but it's the everyday American that goes to work, that pays the taxes, and gets things moving in the right direction.
Well, and think about it on a global scale. We've fucked up relationships with so many countries. We've gone in and we've done really fucked up things. But the idea, I think, that we as a country, we're always evolving, we're always learning.
Right.
And we have to understand that those mistakes that we made in the past, well, as then, they weren't perceived as mistakes. But now we can look back and say, we really fucked that up. Like COVID's a perfect example, right? How many things did we get fucking wrong with COVID? A lot. A lot of stuff.
Dude.
If we were to go through this all over again, I think we would all learn a lot.
I've been listening to the Rand Paul and Fauci deals going on lately. It's been some heated commentary between Rand Paul calling out Fauci trying to like say like, no, we're doing it the right way just because you don't understand it, and it goes back and forth. And
I've seen a lot of that stuff.
It's been intense.
And it goes back to the whole idea, right, of like, no, we learned that masks are not really working all that great.
Right.
Like, look at the spikes that we had when people were fully masked up, right? What should we really be focusing on? We shouldn't be focusing on this, what we all think or what is being put in front of us is this magic shot that's going to save us. We really need to put it back to what our initial discussion was with our health, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We see ourselves. We exercise. You and I exercise. It's not just because of our physical appearance, but because we want to feel good, right? We want to
look good.
Yeah, look good without a shirt on too. I'm looking pretty fucking jacked already, but hey.
But it's true.
But you got to take that shit seriously too.
How many people do you know? They get a cough, and they're like, "I want a shot."
Go to the doctor. I need to go to the doctor.
Seriously, I've got a box of supplements, and I've read all sorts of literature of people that say supplements are good. They don't do anything, and I don't know, but I figured out at the very least I could stack the cards in my favor. Try to exercise. Try to eat well. Try to take the additional supplements, the magnesium, the zinc, the vitamin D. We're all indoors anymore. Vitamin D, you know what I mean? I even take garlic extract, man. I take so much nonsense, ashwagandha.
And see, I'm kind of a little bit on the opposite spectrum. I don't take a lot of supplements. Right. I think I really am just kind of intermittent with the vitamin C, the zinc. I do take vitamin D, but really, if we look back and learned anything about 2020, what we should really have learned is that it's important to exercise, not be overweight. Right. If you are overweight, do anything you can to boost your own immune system by whether that's good food or whether it's a combination of food and exercise.
Healthy body and healthy mind.
Yeah, clear your mind. And get outside.
Dude,
get outside.
It's a big world. It's beautiful. Stay active.
I mean, if you even if you live in a city, you can go find some places to just go exercise. There's a park.
Absolutely.
You don't have to wear a mask outside to exercise.
I know. Our mayor closed the parks down. He didn't want anybody going to go for a walk on the walking path.
And we realize now, like, man, that's where people really need it, right?
And you know what's curious is, I deal with this a lot. and people talk about, well, this guy got sick and he's healthy. Well, yeah, there's aberrations. You have a factor of error. If we all bought a brand new car, some of us are going to get lemons. It's just a reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're a healthy guy. I'm a healthy guy. I knew this healthy guy that was probably 10 times more fit than I was, and he got COVID bad.
Yeah.
You know what? The reality of it is there's 7 billion people on this planet. You know what I mean? It's like it's a numbers game, and some people are going to get sick. But at the very least, you can do your part. Try to eat healthy. Try to eat less sugar. Try to stay active,
Well, I think it just is all about hedging, right?
Right.
Hedging yourself from a disaster.
It's funny, you say hedging, I say stacking the cards is my favor.
Yeah. But I mean,
yeah, it's the same concept though. Like you say, you're hedging.
Right. Yeah. I think, by going to the gym every day, right? I'm hedging my likelihood of getting sick or getting injured. Or
right.
maybe, if I continue to go and I continue to build muscle, maybe when I'm 75, 80, if I fall down, likely I have a lot of muscle that's encapsulating those bones. And my bones are not going to be that brittle. So maybe if I do fall, I'm not going to break my hip like the guy who never exercised.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think you look at 2020 and that should be a really good learning experience for everybody.
And what's curious, that goes right in line with that is the lack of individuals coming back to work. People are tired of offices. They're tired of the rat race.
Yeah.
Why do you see so many people just not eager to get back into it?
Well, I mean, the added flexibility too, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. You're going to a cubicle or an office or just some building, right? Everybody's converging in this place. And what happens if you're not doing anything there? What if you're not taking in payments? Maybe you're not doing any type of forms. Maybe you're just doing office work, but you're communicating over email. There's nothing that tied you to a specific place. Then what is really the point of having somebody go there? If you can telework, I mean, your employees are going to be happy, right? I can get up, I can check my email early, I can go for a run. I don't have to be at this place at 8 a.m.
It could be really this whole paradigm shift in the way we work.
Yeah.
It really can be. And it could be for the positive. And I think this next year is really going to be very telltale as the country has really shifted into gear to moving up state or opening up state by state, and seeing what direction we're going in as well, we were dealing with COVID with the Delta variant, but overall, states are just opening up. They want to get people back to work. People, don't need to be living on unemployment. And like we're saying, it could be a whole paradigm shift in the way people are viewing work. Why did the corporate office need to spend billions of dollars on a skyscraper when they could just set everybody up with workstations at home? The company's going to save billions of dollars. Their employees may be more productive because they're happier, leading more fulfilling lives while getting the same amount of work done.
Well, I think you have a real hard... I think you have a real hard ingrained culture for a lot of people who are a little bit older than us, right? Maybe you're in your 50s, maybe your 60s. You're old school, right? You grew up going to an office. You grew up...
Collared shirt, white collared shirt.
Tie, and things have shifted. And I think really what we're seeing is now that people are really understanding the power of technology that we have, right?
Yeah.
That we are truly now a mobile society.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't have always to be in a certain spot to complete work.
Right. Oh, absolutely. What's really cool is a buddy of mine. I played rugby with him. This guy's from Montana. He's deep Montana.
Oh yeah.
It's
tough son of a bitch.
And he cracks me up. He is the epitome of manhood. He's smart. He has this sense of humor that girls love because it's not overbearing. Like my humor, I'm usually making fun of somebody, trying to, get a
few laughs.
I know, at somebody's expense. You know what I mean? And he's got this blonde hair, these crystal blue eyes, and he's chiseled like a freaking Greek Adonis. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. This guy, Luke.
Oh, is he the blonde dude? Yeah, all right.
He's like a Greek Adonis from 1,000 years ago. He might as well have walked with Alexander. But, he's an incredibly smart guy.
Yeah.
Like, just, his knowledge of software, programming, and computer hardware has just blown my mind. And he'd been working with government agencies or whatnot. And he bought himself one of them, not a camper, but it's not a camper, but it's not a van. It's like a kind of an in-between.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it, but it has like a bed in there and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he's just doing programming work out of it and traveling the country.
Oh, damn.
That's it.
Well, I think that this day and age,
Amazing.
there's so many opportunities like that. And imagine what kind of jobs are going to exist 20 years from now or 30 years from now. we don't even know what those jobs are.
You know what I'm waiting for? And I can say this because I watched it last night again. Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
The last 3 Star Treks that came out.
The preemption of technology, right?
Oh, yeah. Like, the old Star Trek were the preemption of the technology.
Yeah.
Like, the new ones, to me, just blow my mind with, I think the effects really bring it to life now, but with the new cast of Star Trek. And I really watch that, think about what is our lives going to be, 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. I think we're at a kind of a lull. Technology is advancing, and as much as it's advancing, it's not going to hit the ground level where we are for some time, I don't think, until the next big leap.
And I almost think that the next big leap is going to be the integration of, like, our ability to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
Non-verbally is going to be the catalyst for a lot of that.
How nuts is that going to be?
I don't know if
I'd want to take that away. Let me tell you, when I go out with a girl, I love getting close to them. I love breaking the touch barrier. And like when you're talking with a woman on a date and your voice gets lower and you get closer.
Yeah.
I love those non-verbal cues that happen and that heat builds and
yeah.
You just can't get rid of that. I love that.
You can't take the human feeling out
of being human.
You can't take the human element out, and I think that's a large problem of what's going on today, especially with the younger generation. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
They're lacking this just one-on-one conversation that you and I are having.
And it's funny. Okay, so I'm older than dirt. Nah, I'll never own it. But okay, so I was a young kid in the '80s. I graduated in '96, and I remember, like, watching my siblings go on their first dates and how it was a big deal for a guy and a girl to be a boyfriend and girlfriend, to hold hands and first kiss. It was
public displays of affection was like a big deal,
thing.
Right?
And like, even when I was graduating from high school, it was still kind of like a big thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're talking to that girl, da da da. And like, as I've gotten older and I've dated a lot now, and I've dated girls that are younger than me now. And it's weird because it's like easier to date now than it was in our days. It was taboo to hold somebody's hand.
Oh.
And it was like, oh, you're talking to her, you're interested. Is that a thing? Whereas now it's like that whole thing of just chill and watch Netflix. It's a thing.
It is a thing.
It is a thing. And even though we may not say it now because that was like maybe like 2, 3, 4 years ago, it's still a thing though. It happens that easy now.
Yeah.
Like, all those norms that existed with dating and courtship, they're no longer there like they used to be.
So I think what I find really interesting, though, is your ability to meet somebody is so easy now, right? It's not like it used to be when you met somebody because you had the same class, or you saw a girl walking by and you're just like, do I have the balls to go up and say hi to this chick? I mean, she's pretty.
Like, dude, what am I going to say, man?
Fucking awkward over here.
She's just going to...
So now I can just get on my phone, right? And I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, look at this girl. She's pretty. But you don't even know if that's really like what she looks like now.
Right. Was that catfishing?
I don't know what it's... Dude, I'm not up on a lot of this terms.
I've heard ghosting and I've heard of catfishing.
I've never been on a dating site, thank God. But a lot of people make good connections
You've
there.
never swiped right on Tinder, Matt.
Dude, I've never even owned a Tinder account.
You've never been on Bumble.
Never.
Come on, Matt. Matt.
Never.
Dude, I feel like you've never lived.
I don't think I have.
I don't even know what's going on here.
I don't think I have. I mean, I have witnessed some friends show me what the whole mechanism is like, but I'm glad I don't have to do that because I got a pretty awesome.
I'll tell you what, I still think it's easier.
But here's the problem, is where I was going with this, right? I can meet that girl, but then what happens when we meet each other?
You know,
how much of the percentage of it is awkward because you don't have those social skills? I can still go to Starbucks, chat up a girl, and get her number, and keep that conversation going. But maybe, I don't know, is it because I came from an older generation and that's what we had to do? I think if I grew up in the same generation as her, that she, maybe we'd have more in common and all that, but I have I find I have, matter of fact, I find I have less challenges now with asking girls out now than I've ever had. And if I could go back to 17-year-old Mark and kick him in the ass and be like, you're big and idiot, go talk to her, I would certainly go do that because once you get over that fear, it's a game changer. Yeah, because you're realizing that I don't care what she could be a Victoria's Secret supermodel, but at the end of the day, she is a person, human, just like you, just like me. Yeah. And so what? And you know what? Quite honestly, if I'm just because you always I always take the perspective with this. If I'm just gonna chill there and talk to a girl and just kind of maybe spit some game, maybe get to know her, maybe talk to her a little bit. Yeah. If she's gonna be a jackass and she doesn't want to talk to her, to me. Screw her. Yeah. Then she's a jackass. I don't need that. Yeah. Why would you want to waste your time? Yeah. So it's funny. I mean, I'm glad that I'm not in the dating scene today. I mean, luckily Tiff's super awesome and we're happy and awesome, we're good and I don't have to worry about that. But you just see stuff, right? Like you just see shit online. People are just constantly keyboard warring it, and I'm like, if you just talk to people. And get away from the screens, man. Just talk to people face to face. You learn so much. Invite, and you don't have to make it an official date. You can just be like, hey, let's go hang out. Let's go here. And you can't. And I feel bad for the chicks, right? I feel really bad for them because, they have to go around with their guard up 100% because they think every dude's there trying to get in their pants, and it's like, dudes, wait, we're not. Can you just? Wait, I mean, maybe you are, but right off the bat, like that's no way to fucking strike conversation. I guess you can't just ask any random chick, hey, can I get your pants? Yeah, but I mean, if you see a girl and you want to talk to her and you got to get to know her, right? I'm not going to come off like a creep who's like, all I want to do is fuck you. Right. Like, I'm going to be like, I want to kind of maybe know who I'm talking to before I start down that road. I get you. We've all had experiences where we've made bad choices, but you still. I'm going to rinse out your glass here. Just take a quick drink of that. But I still love talking to girls. I just like talking to people. I mean, regardless of whether you're a dude or a chick. Yeah, I can wholeheartedly agree with that. But there's nothing like the dating game where you can just go and meet a girl and chat her up and get to know her. You get the butterflies for that moment. You get the tinglies. Yeah. There's something about meeting a girl for the first time and you get that little bit of nervousness. Yeah. And it's those butterflies you get that makes it exciting. Yeah, it's kind of like the feeling that you get when you're about to compete, right? Yeah. Like when you're about to do a competition of some kind. What do you call it? A bit of that. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Folks, what are we sipping on I'll create that trait for you in just a second. This is RedBreast. It's a single pot still Irish whiskey. I usually don't mix Irishes and Scotches. I've had bad experiences with it. But man, I like this Irish. This is a really good Irish. Ooh, I'm good. It is delicious. And the first I was at an event. Ooh. I was having Scotch. Cheers. Cheers. Oh, I always forget the table, man. Yeah, you can't do that, dude. Tradition. How good is that Irish?
Like,
Ooh,
I was having a night where I was drinking like Johnny, because Johnny's my go-to Scotch, Johnny Black.
Okay.
And it was an event, and these guys bring out some Jameson, and they're like, dude, it's Irish whiskey. It's like, can't be that much different.
Oh, it's different.
God, that Jameson wrecked me that night.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to be drinking Jameson, you're ready for a shit show.
That is a whole next level. But this Irish whiskey, I was, like I say, this girl gave it to me. I believe it was for my birthday, and I was having something to drink, Johnny or something. And she's like, you got to try this. I got it for you. I was like, I don't like the mix. She goes, just give it a little bit of a try. This was phenomenal. RedBreast. And again, RedBreast, if you're out there listening to this one day and you're looking for sponsorship, this is the first non-Scotch that we've had on this side of the table.
Well, I'm going to say, though, as a review, just a quick review, I think that stuff that you poured first, the Belvenie, that stuff is on point. That stuff is smooth.
I'll get the other bottle because there's like 3 different blends, and I kept the container. The other blend, stinking phenomenal.
This
Jura,
it's
grew
good,
on me,
but it doesn't really have a strong taste. Like if you're looking for something that's pretty smooth and it tastes good,
it definitely left your palate cleaner.
Yeah,
you didn't have. Like, I think most scotches give you an aftertaste, the smokiness, the cask, and all that.
You don't get the aroma.
You don't get that out of this. It was definitely just a lot smoother and cleaner and less smokiness. It grew on me.
This is smooth, though. I think this is like...
That's an Irish whiskey.
This is a very smooth... It's not... you can tell that it's not really like a blended. Mm-hmm. It's just... It
tastes like a hardwood.
Yeah.
It is. It's a great Irish whiskey. Like I say... coming from the only Irish whiskeys or Jameson, and then you try this, it's like
it's smooth.
Next level.
It doesn't give you a bad aftertaste.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have some. It is a little bit pungent.
You know what's funny? All right, so let's take this back a step. We were talking about dating and education, and we go back and back and back. Do you know where all this started? This conversation?
Where's that?
It was about violence. The violence in America is different than the violence in Central and Southern America.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about how we used to go to Mexico, San Carlos, Las Grandes, and it might be dangerous and all that, but it's weird the violence in Central America versus America. Because it's funny. Like we started talking about the inner city violence, people wanting to belong to organizations. They want to belong to something. There's definitely room for what do you call it? Reinvestment in the inner cities, in inner city schools, giving people opportunities, trades, and that just led us a whole down the rabbit hole until we got to the whole point we were talking about dating before we started drinking.
Yeah.
But the original root of that conversation was, we were talking about the violence in Central and South America, and we said there's violence all around the world. And I was like, yeah, there is. And you were saying shootings in Chicago and all that. But my point was it's a different kind of violence.
Yeah, I think it's very targeted in certain parts of the world. Like Mexico, I think a lot of the violence in Mexico is very targeted. I think a lot of the violence we see here is not so targeted, right?
I
mean, maybe in a sense that it's targeted.
We talk about racism in America.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's think about this. You talk about racism in America and how bad it is, and you know what? I will never take away the sins of our nation and what we've gone through. And there was a saying, and I know I'm going to butcher it, but slavery was how was it? For the price of freedom, the price of our country, we gave up slavery for it. And we had to pay that price, and that's when you had the Civil War.
Right.
And thousands and thousands of people were killed because of it.
Yeah.
And then it went down the road of the Jim Crow laws and segregation and the civil rights movement. They're definitely since the inception of our nation is a progression of slavery. You know what I mean? Like the story of slavery was given up so we can unite the 13 colonies, and then from then it became illegal to import slaves. Slavery wasn't abolished, but it was illegal to import slaves. We had the what was that revolt before the Civil War? Then you had the Civil War, the abolishment of the slavery, and then you had the carpetbaggers, the Jim Crow laws, segregation, segregated schools, and so you have this history that has a progression from 1783 to present, and all the way to present being Black Lives Matter, because a high majority of blacks live in inner cities where there's no opportunities. You know what I mean? There's frustration. So you have that progression. But let's talk about this whole thing of racism in like Central America. Like you talk about like Colombians, Venezuelans, Panamanians, like these people. You look at them. I think the average person look at them like, oh, they're Mexican. They're all brown.
Yeah,
they hate each other.
Oh yeah.
I was a part of a text group, and I'm not a part of this text group anymore. It was so bad that they disbanded it. They would show videos from Central and South America.
Just the brutal
brutality. And there was like was he at Venezuela in Colombia? This kid that was walking, looking for work and all that, and these guys start talking to him, and they realize he's like from Venezuela or something. They realize they don't like him, so they just threw him off a bridge.
Yeah, you showed me that, and that was
the video, and they're just watching him fall.
And
that was because of racism from one country to another, which are bordering nations the size of Texas and New Mexico. Not even the size of Texas. It's like nations the size of New Mexico and Arizona, side by side.
And they don't even look different. When you look at the people in the video,
they hate each other.
Well, and that's what's weird about, I think, when people talk about racism and how America is so racist, and I think it's just a bunch of nonsense, and I think it's just a way for certain people to rile up others and just stir up shit. Because here's the thing.
I don't think you could take racism out of the equation, because,
well, I think there is racism.
Right.
I think there is racism.
Right.
But by large in America, right, I do not think racism is a problem. But one of the things that I kind of have to notice a little bit is the hypocrisy of racism in America. Because if you think about back when the Jewish were getting persecuted, or let's just talk about World War II and not the Nazi.
World War II, like
Germany, right?
In the United States, we talk about racism with the pinnacle of it being the Civil War,
right?
And the Civil War, you're talking about 800,000-900,000 people dead.
Yep.
Right?
And there's still genocides going on to this day. But here in the United States, let's just say we're all Americans, right? We all live in the United States, we're all Americans, and we're claiming that people are racist. Well, likely the people who are acting as racists are full of shit anyways, because if you were to go do a DNA test on them, they would probably have all kinds of mixes of cultures in them.
Mixed culture of any other country.
So how could we really be racist, I guess, is my end point, right?
Ignorance.
Because we're stupid in that sense, right?
America is such a melting pot of cultures. I think you're right. And most people don't realize that how mixed America is.
Yeah.
It's possible to go to Siberia and find somebody that's native to their tribe, and that they're 100% that tribe because they've never left their tribe.
Very much so. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that still exists. But when you come to America in the melting pot in the 21st century, you can go take somebody's DNA test, and they may look Hispanic, but there's maybe like 10% Hispanic in them, right? Maybe the rest of their genetic makeup is from other cultures, like they could be from Sweden, and they could be from Israel, they could be from Denmark.
I like these oh my God, the settlers that came across the plains that were Irish, and they married an Indian, and eventually somewhere along the way you have an African American that gets in on the mix there with, with a sibling or a child, and it becomes such a mixing pot. And it's really like, you only find that in America. You really do. You go to LA, and I was watching a cooking show on Netflix, and they were talking about, like, sweet Jesus, the infusion of Mexican food with Vietnamese food, because the Mexican guy got with a Vietnamese girl.
I mean, so the idea that we are, as a country, we are so racist, I think it's narrow-minded, and it's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, it really is, because the people who are acting as the racists,
it comes down to education.
Oh, definitely.
So it comes down to education, but that's the root of a lot of the problems that we were talking about, inner city schools with the lack of education to give them opportunities, because tied with those opportunities in education is this framework of opening your mind of what exactly is happening here.
Right.
Yeah. You know, the violence you see in other parts of the world blows my mind that there's so much racial violence in other parts of the world, because the people are just as related there as we are. You have, like, you know, two different indigenous groups of people in Colombia that definitely hate each other, but they're from the same part as the continent.
Yeah.
Do you know?
And I think a lot of the things that we kind of propagate here, like the racism thing, right? That is just a way for people to be enraged, right, or use that as an excuse. And I think we really have to get back to what's the content of your character, like. You know, right. I could care less what color you are. I don't care what you identify as, whatever, right? But if you're a good person, and by whatever that means as your standards, right? Like, you're not being mean to people, you're being nice, you're being a good member of society and community, you're not hurting people intentionally, you're not screwing over people, you're not just being an asshole. It's like, that's like the tendency of our country found out. Yeah. You have a God-given right to live a free life, and so do I. And so long that you think that your right to be free does not infringe on my right to be free, we're all good. Yeah, and hey, we probably both likely have the same goals, right? We want to have some freedom. We want to make some money.
Children, want to grow old, watch our kids have kids, and be happy and be safe, right?
Exactly. We want to live in a clean environment. We want to leave it better off than what it is when we left it. Yeah. We want to see future generations succeed. We want to have some prosperity. We want to be able to live comfortably.
I watched the movie once, you know, and there was like an Arabian guy or something. He tells another guy, he says, "May you live a long life," and it's an underhanded. It's like an underhanded compliment.
Yeah.
May you live a long and prosperous life, or something like that. And he was telling that to his enemy, and what it meant was, it's an underhanded compliment, because you're like, well, thank you, right?
Yeah.
But what he really is saying is, like, may you live a long life in one that you will outlive your children, and you will outlive your loved ones, and you will be long-lived and prosperous, but the things you love will not be. It's like me saying, like, Matt, may you live a long life, but I hope you bury your children one day.
Yeah, that's a little bit fucked up. I mean,
right. But it was so subtle when I watched the movie. I wish I could remember what it was. I didn't catch it until it explained later. And I was like, that's deep.
Well, when you go and strip it all down, right? You strip all the shit away. You strip away the money. You strip away all the materials. Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't think that anybody would disagree that they want to live a long quality life, right? Yeah. You don't want to be in pain. You want to see a long life. You want to have you don't want to have any type of illness. Right. And I think it goes all the way back to, like, what we talked about, how important it is to be healthy, right?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I do this because I want to be around for my kids. I want to grow old for my kids. I don't want to be decrepit at the age of 70.
Your kids are so cool too.
I don't want to be, yeah, dude, I want to be able to enjoy that with them, right? I want to grow old with my friends. I want to grow old and continue learning experiences.
You want to know that they're going to be able to live successful lives, that they're going to have an opportunity, they're going to have a beautiful world to grow up in just like we did.
Yeah.
You know?
And go out happy. And you cannot do that if you don't focus on your own health.
Right.
Both physically and mentally.
Here's a good question. There's always that old saying, never leave someplace, or leave someplace better than what you found it.
Yeah.
Like, and you think about it, have you done that? Or are you in the process of doing that?
I mean, I think that it is something that we all need to be aware of.
Right.
And, I mean, I think there's so many tangents that we can go down. This could be a 4-hour podcast,
right.
you know, if you really think about it. But, yeah, I think that, you know, I think we're all consumers.
Oh, sure.
We all contribute to what's going on in the world and some of the negative shit we see that's going on in the environment. But I think if we all just did a little bit better, we're a little bit more cognizant, whether it's like, I see a piece of trash, I'm going to pick that up, or I'm going to produce less waste, or I'm going to be a nicer person. I'm not going to say fuck you to the guy who like cut in front of me to take a right? Like not be in such a hurry.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just sit there and watch the fucking news, right? And just get mad all day, right? Because that's not gonna get me anywhere.
It's just gonna get you upset.
It's gonna get me pissed off. I'm gonna have a riff with my family, maybe because they have different beliefs.
Kids gonna come home, you're gonna shake them up. Your woman gets home, you smack her around because you watch news all day.
Yep. So there you go. I mean, if we kind of just limit some of the things that we're doing currently, I think we will leave it a better place.
I think about the way I'm going to leave the world behind. I think about the things I do, and people compliment me on the things I do. My industry is one where I help people, but I question whether I do enough. It's like, what can I do on the larger scale? Whether it's picking up that piece of garbage on the side of the road. And you know what gets me about picking up the piece of garbage on the side of the road? It's driving me up the wall. Is like, I'm going to pick up this piece of garbage on the side of the road. I'm going to put it in the trash can, and I know it's going to go to the landfill.
And there's going to be another piece of garbage to follow it as soon as I leave.
Yeah, and it's like what am I doing to make an impact on that level? I think we can all make an impact on a certain level, right? We can separate our recyclables from our non-recyclables. We can do this and we can do that. But are we taking that next step and be like, what can I do about it? Like, I admire people that make those composts and they have their garden going on in the backyard because, you know, they're making renewable food in their backyard. It prevents you from having to go to the grocery store. You know, and you're doing it a little bit. Your compost, you're actually like recycling it, and there's like paper goods on top of the organic matter, so you're using a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, like, what's the next step? Like, a guy like you and me can do. Who's going to be that next guy that says, you know what? When I recycle this piece of plastic, I'm going to figure out how to break it down in my garage and make something out of it.
Well, it kind of. I relate it back to a lot of what you and I have both learned playing team sports, but you're only as good.
I'm a bad team player.
Same here. But no, I mean, this is something that you know, it's probably intrinsic to you because, I mean, rugby, right? You're only as good as your weakest link. So as a race, we are only as good as our weakest link. So you and I were separating recyclables, right? We're picking up trash. We're trying to limit the impact we're having on the environment. Yeah. I'm not talking about going green or any of that kind of nonsense, but I'm just saying day-to-day lives, right?
Yeah.
But if you have people like you and I who are doing those things, but then you've got this one asshole who's just like littering, right?
Right.
Throwing my shit out the window. I'm leaving my fucking McDonald's in the parking lot, my McDonald's bag.
He doesn't give a damn.
Then it doesn't matter, right? Because we can do more, but until we figure out a way to get through to those people and help them become better, then we're going to fail as a society. And I think it just kind of is full circle when you talk about learning from our past, right? Yeah. We have done a lot of bad things, but we have always the ability to learn and make improvements. And I think that's the beauty of America.
I've been listening to this channel on YouTube, and I want to say it's called Hook. And this guy talks about these incredible stories of how people started their businesses. You know? And
just like from nothing.
The founder of Alibaba.
Oh, yeah.
Like when they opened a KFC in China, there was 24 applicants. He was one of the applicants. They only hired 23 people. He didn't get in. You know, and like how many times he was told no before he finally took a chance. And he took another chance. He took another chance. And like the guy that okay, you know those the Cheetos, the fire Cheetos?
Yeah.
The guy who came up with that recipe was a janitor. He was a Mexican janitor in a Cheeto shop. And he got some that were like not flavored, and he decided, he's like, oh, this is really good, and all my Latino friends like it. I'm going to call the CEO. He got the company directory, called the CEO. They were like, we'll be down there next week. His supervisor gets mad at him. He goes, what'd you do? Everybody's coming down from corporate. And now he's like the vice president of Latino marketing. But
just off an idea.
And I've been listening to this thing called Hook. And there's all these guys like you and me. These guys, some of them went to school, some of them didn't. Some of them were soldiers, some of them were janitors. They have such a diverse background, and yet they something caught their interest. They thought they had a better idea. They thought they could make it work, and they worked hard at it. And they sometimes worked day and night. Sometimes they were homeless. They only had 50 cents in their pocket. Every story you could hear, and now you have things: McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Domino's Pizza. I'm trying to think of all the ones. Alibaba, Doritos, the Cheetos, the hot Cheetos, Jersey Mike subs. And I'm listening to all these stories, and half of them are stories where it's like, God, that could have been Matt. That could have been me.
Oh yeah.
And who's the next story going to be? That's going to be like this guy that wanted to make a difference in the world, wanted to clean up the oceans, or he wanted to invent clean fuel, and he probably lived in a house with his 3 buddies living on the couch, and he ate ramen noodle every night. Yeah. But he wanted to get rid of fossil fuels. You know, I'm just like fascinated. Who's that person going to be?
Or what is it going to be?
What is it going to be?
Because eventually, we're going to come to a period, right, where we have produced so much waste. We've produced so many plastics. We can't really turn. I think that we're already kind of on the precipice of not being able to turn back in some parts of the world. The damage to the oceans, I feel, is going to be greater than any type of global warming that we're going to experience. Right. Hey, there might be some scientists or there might be some people out here that measure, global warming on this crazy scale. But if you were just a person looking at what's going on in the world, and you're seeing the amount of pollution that's being created overseas, you're seeing the amount of plastic that's being dumped into the oceans. You just think like, I don't see, I'm not a scientist, but I don't see that being good, right? I don't see that decimating our oceans is going to lead to any positive thing in our environment.
The lifeline of our food chain, and is connected to every part of the world, every part of everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you need to get it real fast.
Gosh.
We can edit this part real fast. That's what happens when you have a homegrown podcast. You can edit things.
Oh. Sorry, she keeps blowing my phone up, and I'm just like, what is going on? Well, dude, do we wrap this thing up or what?
Yeah. I think what's funny is we were all over the spectrum, weren't we?
No, I think we did hit a lot of good points though, but I think it circled back well. A ultimately, I think it's interesting though. You just kind of watch what's going on in the world without any kind of bias or preconceived notions.
Yeah.
And I think we're just in a really fucked up period. Just people can't, people just can't get it together for some reason.
Absolutely.
Can't get along.
Absolutely.
Just can't agree.
I've often said this. I believe in the good of humanity.
Well,
I believe that at the end of the day, people are going to make the right decisions and do the right things.
Yeah.
Even the ones that you don't think that will, they will.
Yeah, I think that what we are seeing is a real inability for people to communicate effectively, and social media is a direct result of that.
With communications, and they're so fast, it's almost too fast. If you think about how fast you're slammed with information from so many different media sources, and it used to be you'd read something or you hear something, you kind of mull it over, form your opinion, but things are coming at you so fast, and they're just ever changing so fast.
Yeah.
It doesn't give you a chance to really get a grasp on it, make a decision, and move on to the next big issue or whatnot. News cycle.
Well, for a good example of this, though, you and I, when we grew up, I think we're only about 5 years difference apart.
Same generation for all.
Same generation.
Yeah.
But let's just say we did not grow up listening. We did not grow up through sound bites and headlines, right?
Yeah.
We actually had to read shit.
Do you remember when you first heard CNN?
Yeah.
When was the first major CNN topic? If you could think about it.
If I really think back, when I really started to pay attention was probably September 11th. 9/11.
Okay, so the first time CNN really came into the mainstream media, it made a big impact. We all heard about it at school and at home. Was the Persian Gulf War? CNN correspondents were in Baghdad the night that the stealth fighter, remember the Nighthawk out of Holloman Air Force Base?
Yeah.
They flew through Iraqi air defenses and started just dropping bombs all over Baghdad. And you had CNN correspondents on the roof taking live video.
Yeah.
That was the first time, and that was like the first Gulf War happened in, I don't remember, 94?
Early 90s.
It was early 90s. Then the second Gulf War was with George Bush Jr. when they went in and they got Saddam. But the first Gulf War, with Kuwait and all that, that's when CNN really came into the limelight.
And see, I was a young kid. The news wasn't a thing to me. I think, I was 18.
Yeah.
I was going into college. September 11th happened, and it kind of got glued to the news. And that was...
Okay, let me ask you this. Where were you when you found out about the Twin Towers?
I was running on a treadmill in what used to be... what the hell was the name of that gym? Anyways, I was in a gym. It was in a plaza right next to the university off of Locust. I was running on a treadmill. I remember they had some
thinking, what gym was
TV
that?
screens.
There were Kinko's, is that all that?
Yeah, World Gym. World Gym is what it was called.
The World Gym used to be down on
yeah,
Valley.
then it moved down to Valley, but it was World Gym there.
Wow.
Got a membership because of my buddy Ken Merhedge, and we went there in high school, and then I was like, I'm going to sign up, get jacked for college, get some chicks.
Yeah.
But that's what I remember. That was kind of like really the first time I started to pay attention to the news. 9/11. And I kind of dipped in and out.
When you heard about 9/11,
yeah,
did you realize your world was going to change? Because essentially that's what's happened. Our world, because of 9/11, our world changed.
No, I don't think anybody really... I mean, there was probably a lot of people who saw that happen and knew. Yeah. But me, as an 18-year-old kid, I didn't really have a lot of background.
I was walking to an elementary school. I was working in a bilingual class, and the first class I walked into was a kindergarten class. And the other bilingual assistant runs up to me as I walked in, and she said in a very thick, Guatemalan voice, the Sears Towers just got attacked. And I always remember that she said the Sears Towers.
You're like, there's no Sears Towers.
Oh, there were the Sears Towers.
There was a Sears Tower.
In Chicago.
But just one.
Oh, there was two.
Was there?
Yeah. The Sears Towers? What are the two towers in Chicago?
I don't think
I'm going to Google that now.
Sears.
And I don't remember what she said, what else she also said, but she said something. And I remember that just caught my attention. I'm like, oh, that's just crazy. And I walked in and they had the TVs in the classrooms and the teachers were glued to the TV.
Yep.
It's called the Willis Tower now. So is it the Sears Tower?
It was the Sears Tower.
Oh, it's not towers.
There was not two.
Oh, I didn't know that. So I remember walking into this kindergarten class, looking at the TV, watching the correspondent talk about the what just happened, what they think just happened, because they weren't sure. They were like, we think an airplane just hit. We're not entirely sure. It can't be. And he was saying something like, it's got to be like an accident or something like that. And then suddenly, right behind him, you see the second jet coming in. Boom! Live on national TV. And he just, like, something like, and I remember, like, something like, what? Another one just hit? And, like, and it was at that moment you knew something. Like, for me, it was that moment you knew something was going to happen. Something big was happening. Flights around the country came to a halt.
Right.
Like it seemed like that week, the week of 9/11, it seemed like the world came to a standstill.
Oh,
I remember like the stock market, there was nothing on the news, airplane travel, nothing. It's like the whole world for that 5 days came to an absolute standstill, and we were in the middle of something big and we didn't know what it was yet.
Yep. Oh yeah. I remember clearly.
Oh my God, I remember. And so back then, talking about the naivety of how we were back then.
But I think news was much more trusted back then.
It was, but I remember like my girlfriend at the time, this gal Margaret, and I remember her on the couch just crying, and she's like, "There's people dying in there," and she's like, "Can you believe how horrible that is?"
There's people jumping out the windows on live TV from like the 50th story.
Yeah. And I laughed about that because you could only see that like on Telemundo. Like I'll never forget. I'll never forget this clip. Like it was NBC. Like it was like some sort of like comedy clip, and they're talking about NBC. Oh yes, we have reports of people jumping from the World Trade Centers. He's like, oh, that's horrible. And then he goes, but you go to the Mexican station, Telemundo. Ahí va otro. Ahí va otro. Like.
Yeah, dude. That shit, and I don't think that anybody ever intended to air that, but it was live TV at the time.
But you know, though, for us that lived through it, because I think as the kids get younger, you know, generationally, that may have lived through it, but they were really young. I think if you were at a certain age in your life living through that, you kind of like knew something big was happening. You didn't know where it was going to go, but you had that gut instinct of like, the world's changing right now.
Well, I think what really solidified it for me is whenever Bush came out and said this was an act of terrorism. Dude. I think that was the turning point. You knew that we were in for something major.
Right.
And
I remember the first World Trade Center attack. There was a bomb in the basement.
Yeah. And
I remember watching the videos of people pouring out. And it was horrible. People were hurt. The buildings didn't come down. And I remember, again, as the wheels of time go backwards, the way we perceived that was like we were in shock.
Yeah.
And it was a big thing. It was an act of terrorism. But then it went to a whole different level during 9/11. Like, the carnage of it. Like, people were in the buildings as the buildings came down.
I mean, they straight up collapsed. And I remember as a kid going to New York and seeing those. And now to go back.
And all that's left is a footprint.
A hole. A big square hole. And I've been there twice since it's happened. No, maybe 3 times. But you go and you just think like the sheer magnitude of the destruction is not something that you can comprehend. I couldn't even comprehend being at ground zero after they had fallen and seeing that amount of debris.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you just look at the holes now. Just the
big,
the footprint that it takes up.
Huge,
massive. Yeah, I mean it was definitely something that changed our trajectory
like it's never
permanently, and it will never be the same.
It'll never be the same.
And I think, and that's what I kind of go back to and have to chuckle a little bit when people start comparing fucking November 6th, or was it November 6th? The insurrection on the Capitol to the World Trade Center.
No.
I'm like,
no.
That is straight nonsense. Like anybody who believes that.
You know what gets me is when somebody says you are...
January 6th.
January 6th. When somebody stands there and they're talking about how horrible you are, and they compare you to a Nazi, and they compare you to Hitler, and it's like, do you know what the Nazis and the Hitler did? Do you know what they did really?
Yeah, go look at the Holocaust Museum.
How many generations of Jews died? And we talk about the Jews. We're not talking about the gypsies. We're not talking about homosexuals.
We're talking about
every other outcast.
Single race.
Just a single race. You ever watching Schindler's List?
Yeah.
That was so spot on. The piles of bodies.
I mean, go to the Holocaust Museum if you really want some perspective, and you walk in there and they've got a piece where it is a pile of shoes. And I'm not talking about a pile like that we would fit on this table. I mean like probably the size of this house piled 20 feet in the air.
That's nuts.
Of shoes.
The problem with it is as time goes on, we get further away from the history.
Yeah, and the history is what we need to really.
We need to
focus
cling
on
to it, and we need to teach it not just in a history class of World War II started 1932 or whatever had it,
no,
and it ended in 1940 something when we dropped the atom bomb, and then you go on to the next topic. There's so much stuff for kids to learn, but at the same time, it's like. You understand when you have politics and you have the far left and you have the far right with ideological beliefs, this is what could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's be really honest. Okay, we got rid of Hitler, fascism, and they've been, deposed. We overthrew them. Berlin and the whole 9 yards. That's history, and we read about it and all that. Then let's talk about communism, the very far left, because that's the far right.
Right.
Right. So Nazi, Hitler, fascism, and what is it? Fascism. What else? Because fascism, Mussolini was fascist. And Hitler, he wasn't fascist. There's another word for it. I'm not thinking what the word is.
I'm not sure.
There's another word. But anyways, that's considered the far right. But then when you go to the far left, in the Cultural Revolution of China. And this is something we don't talk about modern day anymore. With the rise of China and all that. How many millions and millions of people were killed and were starved during the Cultural Revolution in China? One thing that we don't talk about, that Chinese people have no clue that happened if they didn't live through it anymore, was Tiananmen Square when they were driving tanks. They were driving tanks into crowds of students.
Yeah.
There's a book I read called Red Dragon Rising where they smuggled out pictures of Tiananmen Square of piles of human mush where the tanks just rolled over kids.
Well, it just kind of brings you back to some of the real problems that we have as a society. I mean, especially with uneducated people, right? Like you have somebody, for example, like LeBron James. America's bad. We're a bunch of racists. We're terrible. But then you seriously are not saying a damn word about what's going on in China. which is one of your
Cambodia's killing fields.
biggest markets, right? They're making all those LeBron James shoes. You're not saying shit about the kids that are making your shoes, and then they're being sold for hundreds of dollars here in
kids.
the
Let's
US.
talk about kids. What about the slave trade that exists? The sex slave trade that exists with kids that nobody talks about.
Because the reason, right? It doesn't have anything to do with really what's going on. It has to do with the money, right? It has to do with the money.
Has to do with the money.
So I just think like people really need to stop giving folks like LeBron James airtime, right? They need to stop giving them a space to speak.
And you know what? I will be the first to say, you know, LeBron James, phenomenal athlete.
Oh, there's no disputing that.
There is a level of dedication that you have to give to commit yourself physically, time-wise, to get to the level of perfection you have to be to that kind of athlete.
Extremely gifted, extremely talented.
Joe Montana, Steve Young,
disciplined.
Troy Aikman. I mean, I'm just trying to think of all the different athletes out there that excelled in what they did, and they're phenomenal.
Yeah, but then you have those same people, right? You think, God, that guy is so disciplined. He's so good.
Yeah.
How could he so easily look over all of these problems and be so uneducated in this area and then talk about it as if he's knowledgeable?
Let's be honest. Because so he was able to put in the work, and he was able to dedicate himself to his sport in our country, he had that opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't know what LeBron James' ancestry is. I don't know where his great parents, grandparents, or whatever came from. But I guarantee you, wherever they came from, if their son said that he wanted to be a professional athlete, if he would have been afforded the same opportunity that he has in the United States.
No. Likely not.
It's funny because this is the first topic we started talking about. The United States is still the best option out there.
The land of endless opportunities.
The land of endless opportunities.
Yeah.
If a janitor could be the VP of marketing because he seasoned Cheetos.
Yep.
Overnight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is still the land of opportunity. We're not perfect. We're a mixing pot of so many different races, so many different ideologies, so many skin colors. But that's what makes our land free. We bring you in. What is that saying on the Statue of Liberty says? Give me your homeless, your destitute, those yearning to be free.
Well,
bring them here.
I just want to know, where in the world is it possible for you to be a dude with a head tattoo, cruising down the street on your longboard, drinking a half-gallon of Ocean Spray cranberry juice, singing Leonard Skinner, and you become famous? Yes! You cannot do that. Any other country.
That can happen in Europe? I don't see that happening in Europe. Japan, China, Russia.
So to say that we are this faulted country, that we are a bunch of racists, that we're a bunch of deplorables, whatever you want to call America, the opportunities that exist here do not exist anywhere else in the world.
They don't.
Maybe to a small degree, but by small and large, they don't.
Yeah.
And
I have that Donald Trump saying, "Make America Great Again." So it was such a political thing. But in my mind, it's like, America's great. Let's make it better.
Yeah.
Let's take it to the next level.
Yeah, America's great, and let's make it better. Let's make it great. Let's keep it great. I mean, I don't think that by using just that term is political in any way. Like, this is why it is the greatest nation.
It's the greatest nation.
And I feel extremely lucky to be an American.
What's funny is you don't see democracy having started in Athens and spreading throughout the world.
No, you don't see that.
Democracy started in Athens, but it stopped there.
Yeah.
Not until after the Renaissance and the age of exploration, they came to the New World. Our founding fathers, they were all educated in classical education. That's a whole other conversation, classical education.
Yep.
But they were all educated in classical education. They understand all these Greek writings and Greek history and democracy. They have the foundation to think that, and it's not even democracy; it's a republic.
Yeah.
They had this idea of this is the best opportunity for us to be free, and that was the match that began toppling monarchies across Europe on the other side of the world.
Well, you can take everything away that you want, but when you take away somebody's freedom, that's when it's a game changer, right?
It's a game changer.
When you take away somebody's voice, you take away their freedom, that's what sets us apart from everybody else. There's not a lot of countries right now that you and I can be sitting here having this conversation, upload this video to YouTube without getting something.
Without getting our head lobbed off.
Yeah, head lobbed off in some countries or in jail in others. And I think that people that get pissed, I hate America.
Yeah.
Stop and take a quick second to think about the things that you're able to do compared to a lot of places.
Right.
And if you realize that, man, maybe I still feel America's bad after that. Well, then you should probably not likely represent this country. Get out and let somebody else take your spot.
Let's talk about people that hate America. America's bad. And hate Americans. And people's right. Okay, a lot of bad stuff happened. But you know what? History is a bloody mess.
And it will always be.
Human history has been really bad. And I'm not trying to make apologies for it, but there's a certain context. People believed in certain things at certain times in history.
Right.
They believed in their faith enough to march by foot all the way across a continent to go make war in the Middle East. They believed, people have had these beliefs that shaped the context of their actions. And when you, it's easy for us to step outside of that as an observer, being like, "Oh, we're bad. We did that." You know what? We didn't walk a mile in their shoes. We are just reading history out of a book in a page and casting judgment. We don't know what they were feeling. We don't know the emotions, their struggles.
We don't know the context.
The context. We don't know the why.
Those feelings.
And I'm certainly not taking away of slavery is horrible. What happened to the Native Americans is horrible. Even the poor white, what's happened to them is horrible. There's a lot of horrible things that have happened.
Yeah.
But you know what? Genghis Khan, they said, connected the east to the west. The Silk Road did so much to connect cultures and expand trade. But people don't talk about the mountains of skulls that he left in the wake as he marched through China, butchering the Chinese people.
Yeah.
He burned Baghdad, which took him 1,000 years to bounce back from.
Yeah. You think about how bloody it was back then, and I think what we experience now in relation to things like that is just pure ignorance. I mean, we were extremely ignorant to think that one race was superior to another because of your skin color.
Right.
But we've learned, right? We've come this far. We've realized that your skin color is brown and my skin color is, I don't know, fucking maybe-ish, whitish brown. It's summer, I got a tan. But it doesn't mean that you're better or superior, or I'm inferior or superior. And so we've learned that. These are all things that have evolved in the United States, and that is not true for the rest of the country.
Right.
Or not the country, but the world. And
we're very fortunate for what we have and the opportunities afforded and the fact that we have this free flow of information.
Do you know what the biggest conundrum, though, is? Do you know what the biggest thing that is the frustration?
What's that?
Is that it is not going to take that much to make it better.
It really won't. It really won't.
It does not take that much.
It doesn't.
But you know what is easier is to try to destroy it. And until we kind of, as a collective,
we come together.
Yeah, a collective people, we come together and realize, it's so much easier to just make it better. Why burn down what we have?
You're black, you're yellow, you're red, you're white, I'm brown. We're all going to have children. We want our children to have children. We want them all to be successful, have a safe life, grow to be old people, be successful. Doesn't matter where you came from.
No.
We're all here and we want to be happy. And if we're all going to be neighbors, it's possible for us to be happy together. It really is.
It's not hard.
It's not hard.
It's not hard.
And you know what? This whole concept of the fact that we have different faith, that doesn't matter. You know what? I love faith. And I've got such a diverse group of friends that their faith moves them. And when I see them moved by their faith, it just makes me think, God, if I only had his faith in my own faith. You know what I mean? Like, again, going back through history, people's faith drove them to do bad things. Yeah. The Crusades. Mm-hmm. But you know what? The Inquisition. You had the Inquisition. You had the Moorish conquest. All religions did bad things. There was the when Islam was going into India, the Hindu persecution. They persecuted the Hindu horribly. But you know what?
Based on their faith.
But you know what? It's a double-edged sword because people's faith also drives them to do great things.
Right.
Faith is such a funny thing because it's the one thing that really divides us, but it's the one thing that really pushes us also to be like a greater person. And it's funny because I had this conversation with somebody regarding the similarities of certain faiths. Christianity, and the prime example is Christianity and Buddhism.
Yeah.
They're very similar that they are rooted in the truth, principles of being good to each other.
Okay.
And the end point, the difference between God and Buddha himself, that might be a little bit different. But the principles of you and me being faithful to our faith and living principles of being good people, loving our neighbors, loving our families, and being the best we can be. Yeah. That is a beautiful thing, and that's something that we should all be able to compass, and to take the world to the next level.
Well, I think it's that simple though, right?
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
It really is that simple.
That is as simple as it gets. And I think that if people just really thought in those regards, and they said, I got to stop thinking about color, like red versus black versus brown, and just think about, man, what is it that you want? We can be neighbors. We all like the same things. I might have the same.
You make apples. I make oranges. Let's trade.
I may not have the same beliefs in you 100%, but I guarantee that we believe a lot of the same things. We have a lot more agreements than we do disagreements.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Especially if you're a kind person.
Yeah.
And you're a good, wholehearted person.
Yeah.
The world is full of evil people, and there's going to always be evil people. But
there will always be evil people.
You just have to identify those people and root them out as best you can.
I believe good will always overcome bad.
Oh, I do too.
But you know what though? It takes you, and it takes me
having these conversations
and doing something about it. The black man that lives here, the yellow man that lives here, and I'm using colors and I probably shouldn't do that, but the guy that grew up halfway across the world, and this guy that believes in Islam, and that guy that's Buddhism, you know what? Having these conversations and doing the right thing.
Yeah. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
All it takes is listening and having conversations and letting people be different than you.
Yeah.
And understanding that I'm not always going to believe everything that you believe, but we don't have to fight about it. Let's find some commonalities.
It's funny because I was talking about this in the last podcast about Taiwan.
Okay.
Taiwan separated from the mainland after World War II, like 50 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
Now, more, 60, 70, 80 years ago.
Yeah.
Dude, does it matter now? Do you need that little island?
No.
And you're going to send your army across the straits because one communist leader says that island belongs to us. And once they invade that little island, America's going to get involved, Japan's going to get involved, Australia's going to get involved. They're going to send all these Chinese troops across the strait to invade Taiwan. All these soldiers are going to die. And then we're going to get involved. Taiwanese are going to die. Americans are going to die.
All for what?
And for what? Just because you want a little island, because you can't comprehend that this island's successful and they want to be free people and live on their own terms? Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares? Your poor people want to live and have great lives and see their children grow up, but instead you're going to send them across a small channel of water to die because you want to rule over a nation that's done well for themselves?
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
And you know what? And yeah, I think all the nations didn't get involved and we need to stand up for the little guy.
Well,
but what the hell? This is 2021. Why the fuck are we getting into fucking fights over this little island belongs to me? It doesn't matter anymore.
Well, I think what is scary is that there is potential that it could come this way too, right? It's not off the table. They're imposing their way of living on us potentially. And that's a true fear.
It is a true fear. It's this ignorance we've been talking about, the lack of education, investing in our education that allows people to buy into that way of life.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I think that's what you see right now in the cultural war, right? You're seeing this fraction of people who believe that socialism, communism, you own nothing is the way of life. And sorry to tell you, man, it's not going to work out good for anybody. Communism and socialism have never gone over well anywhere.
I was working in the deli company and cheese company, and I was working at a grocery store, and she was the deli manager, and she grew up in Soviet Poland.
Wow.
And she was older than I was, so she remembers the bread lines, and she remembered the bread lines, not having enough to eat, being careful about what you said.
Yeah.
Because people were always listening, ready to turn you in so they could get a little bit more bread themselves.
Yeah.
She remembers this country that...
Snitch on your neighbor.
Snitch on your neighbor. And she just kept on saying, like, God, you guys don't know what it's like here.
I went... to a little seminar by this lady that was given at the university. She grew up under the Mao regime, and her dad was a bicycle repairman, and her mom was a stay-at-home mom, right? They lived in a small place somewhere in the middle of China. Went to school, pretty much had to deal with all of the regime, right? You go, you sing the chants, you sing the songs, you do the marches, you're institutionalized with whatever it is that they're teaching at the moment.
Yeah.
Whatever communist literature there is. And she grew up, went to college. She had an opportunity to come to the United States for college. So she was afforded an opportunity to come to college with the terms and conditions set forth by the Chinese government that said, you will complete college, you will come back, and you will work for the government. Well, she never came back. She went to America and never came back. Got pretty much disbanded from her family. Can never go back to China because she'll probably be arrested and put in jail. And I don't remember this lady's name offhand, but to listen to her sit there and talk to a bunch of young college kids and talk about these experiences, about how You got a pound of pork a month. You were given a few pounds of rice. You deviated from anything that the police or the military thought that was not correct. They'd arrest you and put you in jail, and you'd probably never see your family again. Lived in tiny little housing. Had to take a shit in a hole. And we think, oh man,
yeah,
communism, socialism, let's do it.
yeah,
Equity.
Most people in North Korea don't even know what the internet is.
No. And we don't even recognize that this shit happens and is happening now.
Like today.
Today.
Yeah.
If you live in China, that could be you. Today.
That could be you.
You want that?
In Western China, high Muslim population, being taken to re-educational camps in China.
Yes. Re-educational camps.
That's like 1930 Hitler shit.
Re-educate you, right?
Stalin.
You don't think right.
Stalin crap. But happening today.
But hey, we don't want to acknowledge that, right?
Jesus Christ.
We want, we're just such a bad nation. Well, it's time to wake up. I think that people really need to wake up and say, this is not okay. This is not what freedom stands for. This is not what America stands for.
Yeah.
We don't want any part of this socialist communist bullshit. I'd rather be poor than live in a socialist communist society.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, I would rather be in control of my own destiny than you telling me what to do every day.
Yeah.
But hey, if that's what you like, the door is right there.
I don't know, man. I do think there's a certain beauty into a simple life.
Yeah.
And I think people confuse that. A simple life, the beauty of a simple life versus the life of a communistic country. Because, there's people out there that do it. They minimize their life and they disconnect and they simplify their life. And there's a certain beauty to that, of getting back to our roots and getting back to like an older way of life. But let's remember, the simplistic life in America still afforded you the opportunity to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And be able to, if you did it right, to do okay. And still to be able to have certain rights, certain protections, certain freedoms, to be able to say what you want to say without persecution, versus a simple communistic life.
Well, see, we here are really brainwashed, I think. And when you talk about a simple life, I think of a simple life as kind of the life that I lead now, right? Raise my kids, go to the gym, I work, I make money.
Pay the house, pay the car.
Got a house, got a car, I don't have a lot of shit, right?
Yeah. No. Let's talk about North Korea.
But let's think
North
about...
Korea, no automobile, no running utilities. Most times, not a lot of food to eat. They'd have to eat grass or bark off the tree.
Yeah.
No internet. Most don't have phone lines. I just learned that when they get married, they rent the food to have a wedding. So you could have a wedding that has a lot of food, but you can't eat it because you're renting it.
Yeah.
And generational punishment in Korea. So if you are being punished in Korea for speaking out against the government, they're not just taking you to the work camps. They're taking your parents, they're taking your grandparents, and all of your cousins. And there's this whole group, this generational sense of punishment to keep you in line, because people don't want to get out of that line, because they're like, I don't want parents to get in trouble for me.
Simple life. I mean, think about what's going on in India. Look at the people in India, how they live, how they get from place to place.
Yeah.
We live a simple life. And, I think what we are really experiencing right now is a lot of people not really realizing how good we have it. We've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, we've got Snapchat, and you see all of this shit on these social media sites. It's all fucking fake, and you're just like, I'm not happy because I can't have this guy's Lamborghini at the age of 18, or I can't have this fucking McMansion.
I like the Instagram pictures where they actually try to show that they have a simple life, and they stage it.
And it's all staged, or it's rented. Staged. I mean, go down to Miami Beach, go to South Beach, or go to Miami and South Beach, and you'll see a Lamborghini parked there. And how many people come by and post pictures of it, and then they're like, "Check out my Lamborghini!" I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, a simple life for you and I is pretty simple, but I think a lot of people make life way harder than it needs to be, and we take that for an extreme granted because there are people who live extremely difficult lives and have no way out.
Right.
No way out.
No way out. And look south across the border, like 30 minutes from the United States. You wanna know how blessed you are to be in the United States?
Yeah.
And people that grow up in Mexico, they're very thankful. They're very happy with their way of life. Oh, they have food on the table. They have a little this. They have a little of that. They're very happy. They're very thankful for it.
Yeah.
But again, look at them. They have people in Mexico. They don't have what we have.
No.
They have houses, but they don't have nice houses.
They don't have big screens.
They don't have big screens. One car or two cars, or some houses have two or three. Mm-hmm. Maybe one jalopy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The dirt road still, and most of them are pretty happy about it. Now, and
for context, that's 40 miles that way.
40 miles that way. I remember driving into El Paso, Texas, on I-10 southbound, and being able to look over the river and seeing those hills with houses built out of pallets on the hill that would get washed out during monsoon season.
Yeah.
Like 30 minutes south of us.
Crazy.
And we're complaining about our life here. We have a system in the United States that if you don't have enough food to eat, the government gives you food stamps.
Yeah.
And there's like 5 different food banks down the road that will give you boxes of
free food.
Free food. Churches here that pay your utilities. Like,
pay your rent.
The people are receiving state unemployment with the federal unemployment, and now they got that advancement in their child tax credit this year for not having to go back to work because of COVID. Whereas people in other countries like Mexico down south, they don't go back to, they're not working. They don't have unemployment to fall back on. They don't have these safeguards we have.
Can't go apply for a credit card.
Go apply for a credit card.
And rack up $30,000 of a credit card. You can't go to college and just be like, man, fuck, $40,000. I'm just gonna go get a degree.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
It's such a different way of life.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about, like, let's look at those poor people's lives. The young kids, like social media, how social media is impacting them. You have these people in Mexico that have always grown up that way. They never had a lot, but they're always happy. They always had each other. They always had enough and whatnot. Now you have these kids growing up. They see social media. They want this. They want that. They want the money. And here comes the drug trade that gives them money. And now they're living a fast life. They're making the money. They're wearing nice clothes. They've got the house, the truck, the blah, blah. And oh yeah, you might be dead in 4 years because you're in a drug war. But these young kids' mentality is one such that, well, I might as well live fantastic
for 4 years.
For 4 years than live a lifetime poor. That's a mentality now because of social media.
Yeah.
It's social media.
Yeah. It's a big problem. I think that, I'm just as guilty as the next person flipping through Instagram and looking and be like, damn, I want that fucking truck. I want that house. Damn. How do you get that? And, the reality is, though, that the people that you think are happy are not happy.
Yeah.
And the people who show off all of that shit they have, those are likely the people that are not happy.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'll just take being a simple man and living a simple life any day of the week.
Any day of the week.
Yep.
Yeah. I completely agree with that, man.
Because it's not worth it.
You know? I don't know, man. Like I say, you know, I think at the end of the day, we all have the same dream. We all want to have our little old place. Maybe have a ride. Watch our kids grow healthy.
Be healthy. Be able to be active.
Yeah.
See them grow up.
Right,
leave it a better place than what you came into it as.
We call it the American dream, but it's not the American dream. That's like everybody's dream.
I think it's it's a dream. I think it's everybody's dream.
It's everybody's dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a dream that is unique to them. But I think at the end of the day, the commonality is like, you want to be healthy, you want to be free, you want to watch your family succeed, and you want to leave this earth better than what you left it.
Yeah. Is it better than what you left it, or better than what you found it?
Yeah, probably better when you found it.
Yeah, I think so, man. And you know, I think humanity as a whole, we're better than we've ever have been at any point in history. We're not perfect.
No, we're not perfect. I think we got we got some bad apples who are screaming a lot. But I think at the end of the day, in relation to just America, there's a lot of people who have the same sentiments as what you and I are talking about, and I think humanity will succeed. Like good will surpass evil.
Good will surpass evil.
Yeah. And
I hope I'm an old man when I get to see like us doing the Star Trek shit.
Hell yeah.
You know what I mean? I hope we get
Dude.
I think we're right
time
there.
Travel.
Yeah, man.
Lex Friedman, do it, man.
Do it. It'll happen, man. It's cool, but yeah, I think I don't think it's as bad as we think it is.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one. Thanks for the invitation, man. I think we should have another one of these.
I'm down for whatever. I'll tell you what, over 2 hours. This is the longest one I've done so far.
Is it?
It is.
Good.
It is.
It was cool. Good, man. I don't think. What, you're gonna edit one piece out of there?
Yeah,
the phone call?
Let's gotta call.